Peace, family. Welcome. I see so many of you are joining us. This is the Dr. Kia Pruitt Show. It is Thursday. Happy Thursday. Joyous rising, grand rising, great rising, wealthy rising, rich rising, soul family. I'm so happy to see everybody. Come on in, check in, bring you some water, coffee. I have my coffee and my latte. Bring you some tea. Come on in, family. Your notepads and pencils. We have a wonderful show for you today. But as you're coming in, also bring your questions. Listen to the intro song, and we'll be right back in just a few minutes. Come on in.
Shining wisdom's light, teaching soul tribe how to see through the night. Ancient scriptures and bloodlines she knows, spreading truth wherever she goes. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. Through her channel, knowledge flows, breaking chains that hold us close, teaching paths to abundance and wealth, guiding others to free themselves. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. From currencies to investments divine, she's helping her tribe to realign with wisdom, ancient and new, showing what we all can do. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia lights the way to a new and brighter day.
All right, Soul Tribe. I see so many of you are checking in. Welcome. Let me turn that song off. I am just so happy to see so many people joining in. We have almost 200 people in the chat. I'll get started when we have exactly 200 people. I hope you all have had a wonderful day. Keep checking in because we have a lot to talk about. As you know, Right now, the United States Incorporated is going through a whole lot of stuff. We are witnessing an empire collapse in epic proportions right before our eyes, and we are so fortunate to be alive to see this. So, the collapse and end of one empire will lead to something enormous and great and beautiful on the other side. My special guest today is going to talk about how we can actually make that process go along a little quicker and how we can benefit from this new empire that's coming in. Family, you're going to love this special guest because he's not just an economist. He has a dual degree, okay, in economics and Pan-African studies because he wanted to check out the globe from an African perspective as well as an American perspective, but he also traveled abroad. He's going to tell you about all the different countries he's traveled to as he has a specialty in international business. This gentleman was actually mentored by Malcolm X's eldest daughter, Ambassador Shabazz. This is God, Mom. You all are going to love this show, but I'm not going to start until I see those numbers go up. I love you more. As you come in, family, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. And share the video because on the Dr. Kia Pruitt Show, we discuss global financial matters and geopolitics. And we use that information from a positive perspective to help you grow your wealth, expand your wealth, okay? Expand your empire and leave a legacy for your children and your posterity, meaning your children's children. Oh, we are busy here on the Dr. Kia Pruitt Show. We love the Soul Tribe and we do everything in our power to make sure you have high vibrational frequencies and you leave this legacy for your children. Come on in. I see you all saying you love me. You love the Soul family. I'm just so excited, family. Grand rising to you too. The numbers are going up. We rock. That's right. We rock as a soul family. Oh, I see you checking in from Iowa. Hello. Thank you so much. Somebody said we need to stay woke. You're staying woke. There is 12 o'clock a.m. Where are you checking in from? Where it's 12 o'clock a.m. Wow. Hi, I am. It's good to see you. Come on in, family. I see so many of you in the room. I see the stars. Send me some hearts if you are looking forward to this show, because you all know that I'm the type of person, I'm not going to keep this information to myself. I'm going to give as much information as I can to help you grow and to help you accumulate and protect wealth for your family members. It does not matter to me if, I have this knowledge and I have wealth and you don't. We are one family, one soul family. That is the first principle of universal laws, the law of oneness. We are all one. Okay. We come from source. We all have source and source abides in us. I see those numbers going up and I'm getting excited about it. Come on. I want to see some hearts. I want to see some hearts in here, family. Come on. Let me know that you appreciate the Dr. Kia Pruitt Show. And speaking of appreciation, before I take this opportunity to bring in my guest, I just want to thank you all for supporting the show, for loving me, and for being patient, even when the show had been taken down by YouTube. I thank you for your financial support as well. And speaking of financial support, let me just go ahead and thank you because I don't want to interrupt the show. Henry Parker, thank you, Henry Parker says, thank you. I love you, Henry Parker. Wow, you gave a very big offering. I appreciate you. God bless you. Sister Juanita gave me an offering on the Cash App application at $ Mama Kia 13. Thank you so much. Any of you, somebody asked where they can support the show, is $ MAMAKIA 13. Dina Richardson, thank you so much. Look at all the people. Kazia, thank you. Sister Linda, thank you. Chief Mac, always in the house supporting Dr. Kia Pruitt because he is the chief of the Soul Tribe. Thank you so much. Simply Love, thank you. My son Dex, thank you so much. Ismail, thank you. Nakaya says gratitude for all that you do. Excuse me. Thank you. Tony Withers says thank you for sharing the message. Thank you for the blessing. Sister Dina, thank you. Chief Mac again. Wow, Jacob Walker, I appreciate you. Michael Benison, says, you have been on fire recently. Oh my gosh. He says, honors to you, goddess. I appreciate you. Taylor Phillips says, thank you, and sends a heart with a donation. Eric Heminger sends a donation. Thank you. Colleen said, thank you for sending information via Jacob, who is our resident sheik that shared so much information here. You're welcome. Albert Young, thank you. Felicia, thank you for the contribution. All right. Chara, thank you so much. Shayla, thank you. Wow, look at this. Aunt Gret, thank you. And Sister Brenda, thank you for the blessing. I appreciate you all so much. Later on, we will likely hear from the chief of the Soul Tribe, Chief Mac. He is doing what he does best by making sure you all have your trust in order. So, family, without any further ado, let me go ahead and read this beautiful bio by our special guest. His name is Dexter Lattimore. Dexter Lattimore is an economist and entrepreneur. He received a dual bachelor's degree in economics and Pan-African studies with a minor in international business from a tier 1 university. He has worked with prelates, including kings and queens in Africa and chiefs. And also he has worked with prime ministers and mayors in many parts of the world. Dexter Lattimore has traveled to 3 continents, to countries like Senegal, Ghana, Costa Rica, Brazil, Trinidad, and many more. Dexter Lattimore has been mentored and is currently mentored by Malcolm X's eldest daughter, Ambassador Atala Shabazz. He has done humanitarian work around the world. He is also a professional musician, and he's worked with phenomenal recording artists, including Molly Music, Dorinda Clark, and somebody he didn't mention, our uncle, Ronnie Diamond Horde, who played with the Ohio Players, and so many more artists. He also used to be the CEO of Christ Conscious International and the CEO of the International House of Peace Incorporated. Dexter Lattimore is a world-renowned speaker, a strategist, an economist, an author, a musician, and a husband and father. Family, it is my great honor to introduce to you none other than Dexter Elijah Derek Lattimore.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure.
You're welcome. It is an honor to have you on the show. Thank you for being to come on.
Absolutely.
So, Mr. Lattimore, woo, child. So much is going on. First, can you say hello to the Soul Tribe? They're excited to see you today.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to speak. Today, I do want to speak on, as you mentioned, the collapse of this U.S. empire, what it looks like. I want to talk about a brief history of how we got here. And then, of course, talk about what we can do to prepare ourselves for the future.
That sounds good. Just briefly, let's talk about who you are, Dexter. What made you get a degree in economics? I'm going to take off the screen so they can focus on your intro. Just tell a little bit about you, but you can.
Sure. So starting out as a child, I was always interested in money because I realized very early that money answers all things, as the Bible says. Any problems that we have, or at least most of the problems that we have in life, can be pretty much resolved with money. So as I was growing up and deciding to go to college, I told myself, and I told you as well, that first of all, I debated going to college. But when I got there, I said, I need to study business because money is one thing that we as a people don't know enough of. And in general, most people don't know money, don't understand the concept of money and how to utilize it in order to benefit their lives. And so I said to myself that I'm going to take the opportunity to study at the school, business and economics ultimately, because the economies are what runs the world. And if we understand what's going on in the economies of the world, then we'll be able to benefit individually and as a community.
So you decided to take do a degree in economics. What made you do a dual degree? Because your dual degree is also Pan-African Studies and economics.
Yes. So I was when I was in the business school, I was one of the few African American students. And so it was important for me to have a community that looked like me as
Mhm.
well as, the importance to me of the history of the African people in Africa and abroad, the people of color abroad,
Okay.
as well as I wanted to really understand what was going on, how the world got to the position of where we are today. And things, a lot of things didn't make sense, or I'll say a lot of things were complicated in
Mhm.
terms of figuring out what exactly was going on. So I wanted to study in the school and also use the school as an opportunity to travel the world. So I started traveling the world through the school, first going to Trinidad and Tobago, and then Senegal, and then a few other countries with the school.
And then you got a specialization in international business. What led to that?
Well, my family is a family of entrepreneurs. And so I told myself I do want to do business, but not just business in America.
I
And
see.
that is one of the things that I do want to discuss with you and your audience, the importance of not just limiting yourself to the confines of this country. We have
Mhm.
an entire globe, an entire world that is at our disposal. And when we travel to these other parts of the world, we can actually see how we can benefit ourselves and how we can be a contribution to these other countries. And so I told myself that I wanted to study international business so that when the time comes, I would be able to understand what's going on in these countries and actually benefit financially and be an impact in these countries.
Okay. So then another thing I wanted to ask is what is your relationship with Ambassador Shabazz?
Yeah, so I met Ambassador Shabazz in 2010. I took a class. She actually taught a class at the University of Louisville. And from there, we worked together, for the last 15 years. She advised me to become a Muhammad Ali scholar at the
Mm.
time when I was in college so that we could work more directly. We worked on the Muhammad Ali Awards
Mhm.
for 3 years together. Yeah, so we did a lot of different projects together since then.
Yes. And you also traveled with her to Belize, if I'm understanding correctly.
Yes, I
Okay.
traveled. I want to say in 2012, we went to Belize with her,
And
me and the Muhammad Ali scholars, and we did some work there for a few weeks.
okay. And also, and then she just became a very integral part of our family, thanks to you. So I appreciate that. And I didn't
Absolutely.
mention that Dexter Lattimore is my son. He's one
That
of
is,
8 children. So it is such a pleasure having you here, Dexter.
thank
And
you.
it's an honor and a joy. You're welcome being your mom and, just seeing your growth and your development, your love and passion for the human family all over the globe, your humanitarian work as well. I appreciate you for that. And we'll get into that a little later, but let's dive right into the topic. We are witnessing a global like experience that I've never seen in my lifetime. Can you explain to us what's going on? And I mean, like, how should we be feeling? What should we do at this point? So I'm just going to be quiet and turn over to you. I'm going to put you on the screen by yourself just for a minute and I'll come back on. But I want you to share with the audience your thoughts about what's going on.
Okay, so a brief overview of what's going on right now. The U.S. government currently is in $38 trillion in debt. We also have corporate debt, which is separate from the government debt, which is about $15 trillion. We have civil debt, which is credit cards, for example. We have over $1 trillion in credit card debt. So when we look in total, we're over $50 trillion in debt, right? So that obviously causes a lot of issues. We generate as a country $5 trillion in taxes, but we spend as a country $7 trillion. So we have a $2 trillion deficit, which we have to borrow. Our expenses right now in the country per year. We have healthcare, which is about $2.5 trillion. We have Social Security, about 1.5 trillion. We have interest on debt, which is another $1 trillion, and then we have defense, which is $1 trillion. So those are just the major things that we're spending our money on.
Okay.
And at some point, you do have to pay your debts, right? America is a debt society, right? So our system is not very productive, I would say. We don't produce goods and services in an abundance here as we used to several decades ago. And so that has led to where we are today, along with the fact that we went away with the gold standard, right? So now we're looking at, initially when the country was founded, gold was about $20 an ounce.
Okay.
So we had a fixed rate of $20 an ounce for over a period of about 150 years, right? From 1792 up until about the 1900s, around 1934, right? Obviously a lot of the wars that we have fought over the years are very costly.
Right.
But the reality is this is the way that America was able to become the superpower that it is today, is by having military dominance. But the problem with that as an empire is, how far do you stretch before it becomes too much and before the cost becomes too much? And America has found out what its limits are. And now we are at the point of contracting. All right. So America overreached its bounds in terms of trying to dominate the world.
Okay.
Right. We recently, a few years ago, obviously lost the war in Afghanistan after 20 years of fighting there. That was very costly, but it also was a trigger to the world to allow for the rest of the world to know that America is losing its power. Right. Immediately following that, we had the war in Ukraine to start, right? Where this is a war where the US and NATO, which would be the European powers, came together to try to fight against Russia. America does not like the idea of there being any other superpower in the world.
Absolutely not.
And so when we actually gained our status as superpower after World War II, right?
Okay.
We supposedly won the war. We were the ones who determined the outcome of World War II. So then when the European colonial powers, being France, Britain, all of these countries, they had to pretty much concede to America as the number one dominant superpower of the world. Immediately following that, after World War II, America said, well, Russia, which actually was an ally of America during the war, became enemy number one, right? That's when we went to the Cold War. Obviously, again, wars cost money, but America said, we'll just print money, right? We went off the gold standard and we just decided to print money without actually having it being backed by anything. So now that we're not backed by gold, or for the time that we weren't backed by gold, the other countries of the world began to question what the US dollar was backed by. If not gold, then what?
Right.
So then we look more recently, we fast forward into the time period of BRICS, right? BRICS, you've talked about this many times, what BRICS is, but BRICS would be Brazil, Russia, China, and India, China, and South Africa. Initially, I want to say it was an economist in the early 2000s, an American economist, who wrote up a piece just describing the fact that these four countries at the time, it was BRIC. It was Brazil, Russia, India, China. They said these four economies, if they come together, they form a bigger economy than America and its allies. And so,
Right.
go ahead. Where you?
I was just saying, right. No, I agree.
And so these countries obviously got wind of this. They said, that's a great idea. And so they formed BRICS in 2013, I believe. Since then, BRICS and the rest of the world have been accumulating gold and silver. Before, since America became the superpower, they told all countries, in order to have a reserve account, a bank account, an international bank account, that you had to use the US dollar. Right. So the US dollar was the trade dollar for the world.
Right.
So over the past several decades, for example, China and Japan, if they wanted to do business amongst each other, they could not use their own currency. They had to use the US dollar. Right. So these countries, BRICS and other countries, have been finding new ways to circumvent the dollar. Right. So when America has other countries using its dollar, it makes the US dollar the strongest dollar in the world.
And
right?
so that what made us a superpower?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The money and the military made us a superpower.
Okay.
Right. We told other countries, you have to use our dollar.
Right. Okay.
And countries found out, it's either that or else. They found out the or else part. That's where a lot of wars happen. Russia, during the Cold War, Russia was the alternative to America. So this is when many countries around the world became communist, right? Socialist countries like Cuba, Venezuela, a lot of African countries, and a lot of the Asian countries.
Okay.
Once the Soviet Union collapsed, right? There was the Soviet Union at the time. And 1991 with the Berlin Wall, when the Berlin Wall fell, America was the only superpower, right? So it was able to enforce its will on all of these other countries. This would be why in the 1990s we had this robust era, right? A very good financial decade. But of course, problems caught up with America by 2000, right? And we had the dot-com bust, right? We had a lot of financial issues, and really America's financial house has not been in order for the last 25 years. There's a concept in economics called kick the can down the road.
I was just about to ask you about that because I remember you talking about that in your early years of college. Yes.
Yeah. When I was in college and I was reading about different financial issues, a lot of times they would say in the books, they would say, well, we'll just pass these problems off to our children and our grandchildren.
Oh my God.
Don't worry about the problems, just let them worry about it. Well, we are the children and grandchildren who have to worry about those problems. Right. And so now we're looking at, we have a homeless rate that hasn't been as in my lifetime. I haven't seen a homeless rate at this proportion. We have people living in their cars. We have businesses shutting down, jobs being cut. In this year alone, we've had over 1 million job cuts. Right. Again, I mentioned that America is no longer a productive country. We don't produce goods and services. We are now a financial economy.
And we're consumers, but go ahead.
Absolutely. We are 100% consumers, but we don't produce anything. Right. During our times of prosperity, America shipped the factories abroad. Right, for a few reasons. One being for cost-cutting reasons. Also being because when you're an empire, you don't want to do things. You want other people to do things for you.
Right.
Right. So America consumed everything, and everybody in the world fronted the bill. Right. Everybody in the world paid for America's consumption. But now the day of reckoning is upon us.
Mm. Can I pause right there? Speaking of the day of reckoning is upon us. You are the generation that has to deal with all these problems now. You said in college they were saying we're kicking the can down the road, and now here we are. You are that generation. How do you feel being a part of that generation? And what are your thoughts about that?
Well, mixed feelings, mixed emotions. I always had some issues with the fact that America was the bully of the world, right? Fairness is important, right? Other countries should not be forced to take on America's burden, right? So now we're reaching a point where these countries are being freed from the oppression, basically, of the American empire, right?
Mhm.
So while that will lead to and is leading to some suffering in America, there is still optimism, right?
Okay.
Because um, in America, we have been socialized into being individualistic.
Hmm.
Well, that can work only to an extent. At a certain time in life, you realize that you need others, right? And so we in America have to accept and acknowledge the reality that we need others, right?
Hmm.
Fortunately, many of us have families, right? This is now more than ever is a very important time for us to connect with our families, our friends, our communities, and find ways to help each other, right? Um, this is not the first empire to collapse.
Okay.
And even when this empire collapses, the country will still be here,
Oh, wait a minute,
right?
wait a minute, wait a minute. But aren't is the you said the empire is collapsing, but the country will still be here. Is there a difference?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. It's
Okay.
just like when we look at the Roman Empire, right? 2000 years ago, the Roman Empire was most of Europe, right? But the country of Rome is the boot that we see in Europe, right? So when the Roman Empire collapsed, it contracted into the landmass that the
Mm,
people originally were from.
okay.
Similar situation here in America. The American empire is not just the four corners of this country, right? The
Mhm.
American empire spans way past
Mm,
our borders. But
okay.
the American country is different. Even the American country is different than the American corporation.
Hmm.
All right. So um, people know of America as the corporation and confuse that with the country, right? This
Yeah.
is yeah, this corporation was founded, right? But before the founding of the corporation, the landmass was here, and there
Right.
were people still here.
I noticed that when we were traveling abroad to Africa, they around the 2000s, the early 2000s, people were calling it the US, United States. And when I was growing up, we only called the country America. So that's when I started realizing there's a difference between the United States Incorporated, a corporation, and the landmass of the country. And I think people think that, they're one and the same. So I appreciate you for explaining that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we need now, as you have been promoting in your channel, is the community. And it's a beautiful thing to
Mm,
see the community that you are building and that you have built, because again, this is needed, right? We need to find ways to impact our community in a positive way, right?
mhm.
There are ways, again, in terms of helping ourselves, right? The individual person come together as a family. We need to look and observe other groups that come to America,
Mm,
how they are successful.
mhm.
Because when we look at the Chinese, the Asian population, or the Mexicans, the Hispanic population, when they come here, they will come and move in one house,
Yeah.
several families. And a lot of times, Americans, we say, I don't want to give up my freedom. And understandable, but there's a cost to that.
Yes,
right? There's a
sir.
cost to everything in life, and we have to understand the costs and find ways to cut costs, right?
Mm,
So again, why do they decide to move in? We've seen, obviously, uh, if a Mexican family moves into a house in a few years, they could very easily own the block because they will move in several families, pay off that house in a
mm,
very short time, and we'll have an agreement that once we buy this house, we're going to buy the next house for the next family, right? So there are strategies that we can use in order to come together and to be prosperous, even in times of
mm,
downturns and collapses, which we are in and seeing now.
yes. So before we get into more of the solutions, is there anything else you want to say about this empire collapse?
Um, well, I want to actually look at how the empire was created, right?
Mm, yes.
1776, we
Okay.
started the American Revolution. This was against, right? We were fighting against the British Empire at the time. And the
Okay.
irony of it all is that we were opposing taxes, right? So we had the Boston Tea Party, right, where we opposed the taxes and we fought the war. 1792 is when we went from the British pound being in use in America to the US dollar. That's when the US dollar was created, right?
Okay.
Dollars and currencies are essentially IOUs from the
Mm,
bank. So the bank, at the time of the founding of the country, if you had a $20 bill, you could go to the bank and redeem that $20 bill for an ounce of gold, right? Over the years, America got a little clever, right, and said, "We'll confiscate your gold, right? We'll hold your gold for you. We'll hold your silver for you. We'll put it in our banks, right?" And also, it was the reason that we use paper currency is because of the weight, right? It's easier to
that's
do
it.
transactions and transport as opposed to gold and silver and other precious metals.
Okay.
So we have what 1913 when the Federal Reserve System was created.
Yes.
Around that time, they were confiscating gold, right? Taking the citizens' gold, right? There was a time in the American history where gold owning and possessing gold was illegal, right? They made it illegal to own gold. So that shows the importance of the asset of gold, right? It
Right.
is so valuable that always banks want it, right? But also it's it has practical use, right? You can use gold in production, right? Obviously as jewelry, but also in the airplanes, in the phones, in a lot of the technology that we use, gold is used, right? There's also a fixed amount of gold, right? It's not infinite. This is the
Mm,
reason why there's a set price.
okay.
And when the demand is high, the higher the demand, the higher the price for the gold,
Okay.
right? So we're looking right now today at a time where gold is in high demand.
Mm,
This is
very.
the reason, right? This is the reason why the gold prices right now are at what around $4,300
Yes.
an
I'll bring
ounce.
it to you. Here it is right
Yeah.
here. $43. And let me see if it came up. Oh, it was just 4,369 and then it popped up 4,371 right here.
Yes.
Can you
And it
see it
will, yes, I
on
can.
your end?
And it's projected to go up
Okay.
next year. Um, because again, the economies of the world, the governments of the world are rushing to gold, right? All of these countries are
Can you stop?
currently. I'm sorry. Say it
Speaking
again.
of gold, I was just saying, speaking of gold, you were saying these countries are rushing towards gold. So I want to encourage the Soul family to consider what he's saying, because if countries and banks are rushing to gold, that means that we should be preparing and getting gold. So let me pause here to say, if anybody is interested in getting gold, then you can contact our affiliate, Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company, for silver and gold, and contact them at 952-929-7006, or send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. And of course, let them know you heard about it from Dr. Kia Pruitt, and you'll get a great price for your product. So you're talking about the issue of gold and why gold's prices are rising.
Absolutely. And so, so gold obviously is an important asset. It's an important asset to add to your wealth portfolio, as you were just mentioning, right? And we, as a people, all people, we need to understand the difference between wealth and riches,
Oh,
right?
right.
Riches can be lost overnight.
Mm.
Wealth is accumulated over time, right? We have to understand the difference between spending and investing, right?
Okay.
Spending is something that you do short term. It brings short term gratification, versus investing. You invest in the future. You invest long term, right? So when you buy gold and silver, for example, you're not buying this in order to exchange it the next day or the next month. You're buying it in order to hold, because it has a stored value. It has value in it. And these are things that you will be able to pass down to your children and to your grandchildren. And this is what is considered wealth.
You know, Andy Scheckman, the CEO of Miles Franklin, taught me that, because I kept calling silver and gold an investment, because I come from a background where, you know, you invest in things like this. And he said, you have to stop looking at it as an investment and look at silver and gold as wealth, because this is something you pass down to your posterity, your future generations. So I appreciate you for reiterating that.
Absolutely. It's also, I'll say, it's also important to look at different businesses that are needed, right? When we look into the future, we have to say, first of all, looking at the present, what's going on right now, and then projecting into the future, what can I see that will be needed in the future?
Okay.
Right? We have to learn to be more productive as a society, as a community, and as individuals.
Thank you so much. Yeah, because you had said earlier that even as a country, we don't produce anything. We
Right.
consume, and expect everybody to cater to our needs. And I think that has trickled down to us as individuals.
Yes.
And one principle you taught me and the church that you were heading at the time you had Christ Conscious Community International was that most people plan for the weekend. Do you want to finish that sentence for me?
Yes. We'll say, I'll use the term successful and non-successful, right?
Okay. Okay.
Or we'll say most people
Okay.
plan for the weekend. Successful people plan for a lifetime, right? So we all do know that, or expect at some point, we will have an expiration date physically.
Right.
So the day will come, but are we prepared for that day? Are we prepared? Do we have a plan, right, for the next 5 years, the next 10 years, the next 20, 50 years?
And then
Because
but you told us that I want you to go because you told us when in the church in your sermon, you said, and then some of you will only stop at a 5, 10-year, 50-year plan, whereas successful people, and I'll let you say the rest.
Yeah, let's look at Japan has a 1,000-year plan, right? So we're looking at, you can plan for your life, which is great. You can also plan for the lives of your children and your grandchildren. Now, we don't know exactly what that may look like, right, when we're not here. But the more you plan, the more you prepare, the better of a structure and a path that you can leave to your posterity, to your children and your children's children, right? And again, this is how successful people operate. We look at the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. They have plans right? They write out strategic plans for not just themselves and their lives and their careers, but for the children's children's children. And
Wow.
when you think like that, then you start to even make better and more sound decisions for yourself in the right now.
Mm. You know, speaking of that, the difference between successful people and unsuccessful people. I remember walking into the bank once. You and I, for those of you who are just joining in, Dexter Lattimore is an economist, a worldwide traveler, a speaker, a former pastor. He writes. He's a musician, and he's going to be working on a book on economics. But he's also my son. But when you were in college, we walked into a bank together, and there were some suckers that were there. And you said to me, Mom, look at that. And I was like, yeah, I'll take a cherry sucker. And you said, I want you to look at what you just called that, a sucker. And then I want you to look at the name of the sucker.
Dum dum.
So you blew my mind away. What was the significance in suckers being at the bank and the name of the suckers being called dum dums?
Well, ironically, the banks and the government, they're comical, they enjoy a good laugh, right? So the banks, they consider those who deposit their money into the banks as dummies, as fools, as suckers, because they don't realize that once you put your money in the bank does what it will with your money, right? And the banks legally only have to have 10% of what they claim in their accounts. They only have to keep 10% of that, right? So if you deposit $100 into the bank, they'll keep 10 in there. They'll invest the other 90. All right. So the bank is making money off of your money. This is the reason why they consider us dum-dums if we're putting our money in their banks.
That's deep. And when you told me that, that made me made me think about doing more research. And I did realize that once you turn over your money to the bank, actually, they can say they own it. Like you are the creditor. So you're lending your money as a creditor to them to do whatever they will. And they can invest that money somewhere. If they get in trouble, they can do bail-ins. And I was like, oh my God. And Dexter, that just opened my mind up to this whole world of self-preservation, having your own bank, your own family bank, having your own trust to protect your assets. So I'm so grateful that you went into economics. I would have never thought this way had you not, gone into that field of study.
Well, thank you. And as you mentioned earlier for yourself, you said that the information and knowledge that you have is not just for you. All right. I obviously felt the same way growing up and still do today. I didn't gain this information because I wanted to hoard the information to myself to gain wealth only for myself. I wanted this information because I understood that the vast majority of the world does not understand what we're talking about. Right. And so if the world doesn't understand what's going on, then how can they prosper? Right. And so this is the reason why we do not have as much prosperity in the world as what could be possible. Right. And this is the reason why it's important to gain the information, but then also to distribute the information to others, because one person having the knowledge does not benefit the collective. And we have to begin to think more collectively and less individualistic.
Yeah, I agree with that. And now that we have this information, I spend a lot of time, as you know, with all of the children, my grandchildren, teaching these principles. And speaking of banking, the other day I was going past the bank to deposit something to pay a bill. And Amin and Mia were with me, the two grandchildren. You all soul family, you've met them. They were asking me, Mia said, Granny, why do you people put your money in the banks? You people, right? And so Amin said, yeah, that's the dumbest thing in the world. You turn over your money to strangers. Do you know those people? I said, Granny, you know. I was like, well, I've come to know them. No, do you know those people? I said, no. Granny, why do you people put your money in the banks? And they were just having this conference. I couldn't answer it. They said
Mhm.
they could steal your money. You don't know them. They could use. I said, well, I think there are laws in place to protect. They say governments break laws all the time. That's what you've been teaching us.
Right.
And I thought, wow, the mouth from the mouths of babies.
Exactly. That's the irony of it all. As a child, a lot of things that the adults did when we were children just didn't make sense.
Mm,
But as we get older, we become adults. We learn certain things, right? We're taught certain things, and we accept these things to be truth. And so, when you talk to an average child, they might just ask you, "Why are you handing over your money to people that you don't know?" And it's a very credible a question that often we don't have answers to, except that we were told by somebody to do it, and so we do.
And I'm an educator teaching my grandchildren to think for themselves, the importance of critical thinking, the importance of having your own family bank, the importance of gold and silver. And they're like, okay, you're teaching us one thing, but then you're putting your money in the bank to these strangers. Wow. You got
And see, now
go ahead.
we have to talk about the education system,
Okay.
right? Because the educational system is not necessarily to educate, but to train the people to be good workers, right?
Okay.
To accept instructions.
Mm,
And so we're not being educated to be thinkers, right? They don't want dynamic thinkers, right? Thinkers are not good in terms of controlling. And when you're talking about controlling the population of the world and the population of our country. So they don't want us to be educated. In fact, we look at the education in America, it has gone down substantially over the last several decades. And it's still like, it's even worse today than it was when I was a child in school.
mm.
And so we have to really consider educating our children, even if we have them in public schools. There is a time when they are outside of schools that, as parents, we have to be, and grandparents and aunts and uncles, we have to be investing time in our children because they are our future,
Absolutely.
right? These children who are in high school today, we have a lot of children today who cannot read at grade level. They will, in a few years, be the workers,
Mm.
right? These are the ones that we will, as we age, we will have to depend on them as a society,
Yeah.
right? So it's going to be advantageous for us to invest now, right? Consider these things now so that 10, 20, 50 years from now, when we're old and cannot provide for ourselves, we have an adequate population who can do so.
Speaking of the education system, I'm going to have a special guest tomorrow who has educated her son from the time he was in her womb. And when the child came out, well, the child in her womb told her what his name was going to be. So when she delivered the child, she had the child and named it exactly what the child told her in a dream. And she started educating him actually from the womb and then afterwards. And the child now is 8 and has skipped 2 grades in school and could skip more, but they won't allow for it. He's a brilliant child. And I asked her to come on my show tomorrow morning to discuss the importance of educating your own children. So I thank you for even mentioning that. And maybe briefly, you can talk about your own educational experience and how your family, not only you had experience in public schools, what that was like, and then your family brought you out of public schools, right? But
Yes,
before you do
absolutely.
that, I just want to tell the family, if you're enjoying the show and you appreciate Dexter Lattimore, who is an economist, world traveler, speaker, author, and he was actually mentored by Malcolm X's eldest daughter. Is it Atala Shabazz?
Yes.
We just
Atala
call
Shabazz.
huh? What is it?
Atala Shabazz.
I call her Shabazz, but I call her Ambassador Shabazz or Sis. If you're interested in supporting this work, then this is something I do for all of my guests. You can kindly send a blessing or support donation to Cash App Dex Lattimore, Cash App DexLattimore, and he'd appreciate that. And then when he writes his book, we'll bring him back on as well to talk to us about global economics and et cetera. So Dexter, your educational experience, what was that like?
Yes. So I was very fortunate to grow up in the family that I come from. When we were being born, my aunt, my father's sister, created first a daycare.
Yeah.
Right. She
Hmm.
had a degree in business as well. Right. She had a master's degree in business. And so she said that since we are having children, I'm going to create a daycare and I will make sure to take care of our children. And then also, she hired the family uh, in order to take care of the children. As we got older, she said, well, the children are now out of daycare. Some of them are out of daycare age. I'm going to found a school. So she created a school for us, right? Student Aspect Preparatory School was the
Yeah.
name of our school.
And we had
So
a
I,
creed at the school too. Go ahead.
oh yeah, The Creed by Marva Collins. Yes. This is actually the foundation for me in terms of my education in Pan African Studies history, because a lot of the things that I learned in well I'll say I learned in college, I had gained a lot of that information in my aunt's school, our aunt Darlene. So
And wait a minute. And what was the book? The one of the first books you read at 8 years old at her school. And I'll be quiet.
no, I got to remember what Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yep.
Yes,
Robert Kiyosaki.
yes. Because again, I was seeing as a family two different dynamics.
Okay.
All right, I was seeing entrepreneurship and creation, but I was also seeing the other side where money was not being held and being passed down generationally. So I said, okay, what's the difference in these dynamics? And so as a child, I was at Aunt Darlene's house and Uncle David's house at the time. And I believe Uncle David had the book. And so I picked it up, inquiring. And so he told me to take the book.
Mm-hmm. And you
So
were
that
were you 8? I
eight,
thought.
8 or 9, run.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So yeah, it was information that intrigued me. Be also, at the time, my father, he taught us music. He taught us how to play instruments. So by 10 years old, I was making money, as a musician. But I didn't want to blow my money even as a child. I said, okay, what can I buy? How can I use this money to help the family, to help my own situation, right? So when I would buy clothes, I didn't buy Jordans, right? Because I said I'm gonna buy my own shoes, but they're not gonna be Jordans. I can't afford that, and I'm not gonna spend all my money on one pair of shoes,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I started early, bargain shopping, right? I don't want if I see a pair of shoes at $69 and then I see a sale at the same store that says two for 69, I want the two for 69 or two for 79. Right. I'll take that deal. At the time I would go to Foot Locker. They'll have t-shirts 4 for 20. Well, I can buy one shirt with a logo for $25, or I can buy 4 or 5 regular shirts for $20. Right. These principles are what led me to down the road to becoming the man that I am today. Right. And this is the reason why I often stress the importance of budgeting. Right. A lot of people don't know where their money goes at the end of pay, the pay period. And so I advise your viewers to write up a budget, right? First, write how much you make,
Okay.
and then write down all of your expenditures, what all your expenses are, and include everything. Be honest with yourself, right? So that you can look and analyze and understand exactly where your money is going, to the cent, to the dollar, as specific as possible you want to be when writing this, right? That's check number one,
Okay.
right? On the second check, 2 weeks later, you get paid. Do the same thing. All right. Do it for several checks, because you want to really analyze, because the first time you write it, it's an estimate. the second time you write it, you're getting more information and you're actually observing every time you spend.
Mm.
Right. And the longer you do this, the more you do this, each check that you do this with, you're going to even be hesitant about spending. You're going to say, I want to hold that $20, right? And this is how you learn to invest, right? You have to save your money first before you can invest, right? But if you can find $1 there, $10 there, it actually adds up, and it can add up fast, right? So again, budget your money, because you will find that it helps, right? It helps to have a savings, right? Back in our grandmother's days, they would say they would have a rainy day fund. Today in America, over half of the population doesn't have $1,000
Yeah. Wow.
after their bills. That's a problem, right? Because many of us are one sickness or one heartache, one problem away, one bill away from a domino effect happening in our financial lives. And this is how a lot of people end up homeless today, right? One bill. First is the electricity, right? It's winter, it's cold, electricity goes up. Well, everybody's living paycheck to paycheck today, right? So if that bill goes up $50, your job is not going to give you 5 extra hours so that you can cover that bill. So then it goes from the electricity to then the food, right? If you have food in your refrigerator, if your electricity gets cut off, all that food goes bad, right? And then the gas, right? You got to afford gas to go to work.
Yeah.
All of this is a cascading effect. Then it hits your rent. You're late on rent. Once you're late on rent, it's hard to catch up. And a lot of people now are, again, living in their cars because these things happen, right? And if you're not preparing for worst case scenarios, then should it happen, you're unprepared, and you're just going to reap whatever the consequences are, right? In life, I often say life is really simple. For me, this is the way I look at it, my perspective: decisions, consequences.
Okay.
That's it. Whatever decisions you make in life, there will be consequences. Not acting is acting, right? Not making a decision is a decision. And so when whatever happens to you happens, if you're unprepared because you didn't make a choice or a decision, you said, I'm going to sit on my hands, well, life will hit, right? This is the reason why I say invest in yourself, right? Education. People told me, a few people told me growing up when I was in college, they said, go ahead and get your degree, right? Because 5 years from now, you'll be 25, degree or not. If you use your degree, no problem. If you don't use your degree, you can put it in your back pocket, may never need it, but you'll be 25 one day, you'll be 35, you'll be 50, right? But if you don't prepare, if you don't plan and strategize, then when it comes, it'll come and go, and it will hit you over the head. And life is not always gracious, right? Again, we're living in the time of the collapse of an empire. So times are hard now. We should expect and prepare for times to be harder. It's great to want and to expect that things will get better, and one day they will, but we don't know when it will happen.
Can I say something right quick, son?
Absolutely.
More. You said life happens, and some people are saying some things you can't plan for, like a hurricane, like the collapse of the empire. So what do you say to that? And I'm going to leave time for question and answers too, but what do you say to that? They're saying some things you can't prepare for.
That's true. That's why I say prepare for the unexpected.
Mm.
Something you never know what's going to happen in life. So now, obviously, like you said, it's hard to predict a hurricane or a tsunami or a tornado, whatever, any type of
Mm-hmm.
exactly. But now you can predict a collapse, especially if you're paying attention, right?
Mm.
There are things that you can control. There are controllables and non-controllables.
Okay.
Control what you can control, and then be prepared, but don't worry about things that are out of your control. Right now, this is where we go into the spiritual aspect of things. If you believe in a higher power, at times in life, you have to leave things to the higher power and expect that things will be okay. But worrying about things doesn't change anything, right? So you prepare for what you can. And I say, uh, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. You know, be prepared, because whatever happens, it's going to happen to you.
I remember you were saying, life happens, things happen, and yes, things are going to get better. And I remember telling you, like, before, like around 2017, I was like, oh, we don't have to worry about everything. NASARA's coming, National Economic Security and Reformation Act, and the global version of that, just SARA is going to happen. We're all going to be wealthy. All the debts are going to be paid. We're going to have a wonderful jubilee. And I'm like, Trump is going to save the world. And I'm just, happy. And you said, Mom, I study economics. I appreciate the fact that you're positive. I study economics and I foresee a collapse. We are going to have to prepare for things getting worse before they get better. I remember you saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Then a couple years later, it started getting worse and worse and worse. And then we had 2020, we had a global shutdown, right?
Yep.
And you said, had you not been prepared, we would have been struggling. But I told you things were going to get worse before they got better. It just so happened that we all moved in together because we were talking about, things could get worse. We all moved in together. We started saving money. We didn't have to pay all these different rents and mortgages. Dad had a house. Okay. We started pulling our resources, our money. I started getting that's when I started getting into silver and gold. And, we just started making decisions based on what you had learned in economics. So I'm very grateful that you kept me grounded.
Absolutely.
I'm a very joyful, positive person, but you said, Mom, you got to be grounded, realistic. And you also said you can predict what happens in the future based on what happened in the past. And you are also studying history as well as economics.
Right. They say, if you don't know history, then you're bound to make the same mistakes as before.
Yes.
So for one, you can assess where things are headed if you know the history of how we got to the present, right?
Yeah.
Past, present, future.
Mm.
A lot of times people want to look at the future with no understanding of how we got to where we are.
Right.
So whatever your expectation of the future is ill-informed or misinformed.
Mm.
All right. Let's go down the road of what if things happen the way that you said, right? Everybody's prosperous. Wonderful. But what happens, right? What happens to people who win the lottery?
Oh, they usually lose it.
In a matter of under 3 years, generally.
Gosh. Okay.
What happens to professional athletes that come across millions of dollars who have no education in money? They lose it.
Lose it.
They end up right back in the projects often. Well, I mean, unfortunate, but it is what it is. They end up right back living with their mama. They have to sell because when you don't understand money, then you waste it.
Hey, what's wrong with living with your mama? No, I'm just kidding.
Nothing. Nothing at all. I love my mama. I enjoyed the times when I lived with my mama. But at a certain point in life, you do want to have things of your own, especially if you ran across several millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's when you don't want to live with your mama. When you burnt all of your money. But right, so People are, if you don't know money, then you're going to spend it frivolously,
Okay.
just like the athletes do. They get the money and they spend the money before the season starts. A
So you
lot of
said
the go ahead.
what happened if everybody became wealthy and prosperous during that time? Like I said.
They would lose their money
Mm.
because they would spend it on things that are don't have the proper value. People weren't going to invest in gold and silver at the time. Do you expect?
No, not before the collapse. Nobody was talking about it.
Exactly. So how would they have spent their money?
Mm. They would have been wasting it like we did with a lot of people did with stimulus checks. Some did pay their
Part
bills, but a lot of them, you know, stimulus
party. Mm-hmm.
and those other checks that they gave to businesses. I forgot the name of those checks.
PPP loans.
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Blow it. We blow our money. And the thing is, okay, if you get $1 million, immediately your mentality changes, your perspective changes, right? But who you are, your spending habits don't change.
Mm.
But now your desires increase. You get $1 million, you don't want a Toyota Camry. You want a Ferrari because in your mind you can afford it. $500,000 on that. You want a house, not a $200,000 house. You want $1 million house or better. So you're spending all of this money, and then you realize that you already spent it all, and then you end up losing it all because most people are not buying things outright.
Right.
Even
Right.
rich people,
Mm.
right? They'll get a car and a house on a loan and have to pay 5 years on that car, 30 years on the house. What happens if you run into hard times 3 years into your car note?
Mm.
Well, the car dealership's not going to say we understand that you're having hard times. They might give you a month or maybe up to 3 months, but eventually they're going to come calling. They're going to say, look, we're going to collect on that car.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to kick you out of that house. The bank will repossess the house. And so a lot of times in life, God gives us what we need.
Mm.
America has to go through its day of reckoning. America can't just be the way that it dominated the world through its military. The country, in my eyes, cannot just turn around and reap prosperity, even its citizens,
Mm.
because the scriptures say the sins of the father will be visited on the children.
Mm.
And so this is just reality, right? But
Mhm.
now, again, we can prepare ourselves. I saw one of the commentators mention copper. Copper is obviously a sound investment, right? Copper is used in many ways, right? There is, again, a fixed amount of every resource, every asset. There is an amount in the grounds, whether we're talking about copper, gold, silver, oil, whatever. And then there's an amount that we take out of the ground, and that fixed amount is going to determine the prices, right? And if everybody's grabbing for these resources, there's a high demand. You want
Mm.
to find things to invest in when the demand is not necessarily high, right? You know, if you buy at the peak, then it's hard to gain any value, right? You could lose value when you're buying things at the peak. So let's look at Bitcoin, for example. If you bought Bitcoin, go ahead. Were you going to say
No,
something?
yes, before you get into some of the solutions and Bitcoin, I
Uh-huh.
just want to say, family, if you are enjoying this podcast by economist Dexter Lattimore, then please feel free to support him by sending him a donation to $DexLattimore. This is something I do for all of my guests because I appreciate them being on here and I have people that have degrees and world-renowned speakers, and I should be paying them to come onto the show. But this is my way to contribute back for them sharing their knowledge and experiences. He is an economist. He has a degree in economics, Pan-African studies, and a specialization in international business. he is mentored by Ambassador Atala Shabazz, who is the eldest daughter of Malcolm X. He has traveled with and spoken to and worked with many chiefs, presidents, queens, and kings. They have them still in Africa, all over the globe, actually. And he's done some work he hasn't even spoken of, as he has worked with certain chiefs. He's also worked with the mayor from the city that he came from in Louisville, Kentucky, the former mayors. And he has a wealth of knowledge, and he's sharing that information with us on the collapse of the empire called the United States Incorporated and what we can do to prepare ourselves as we are experiencing that collapse. He is currently working on a book, and he'll talk about that maybe at another time. But if you want to support his work, then please feel free to do so. You can send a donation to $DexLattimore. He's also a very, very renowned musician. If you notice that name, Lattimore, that name is there for a reason. It's because all the Lattimores are some type of entertainers, worldwide entertainers. And yes, excuse me, I was lucky enough to marry into that family. He is related to those Lattimores. And so that's it, family. Thank you so much for supporting us. I'm going to turn it back over to Dexter. So go ahead, Dexter.
Yes, I was mentioning you don't want to buy things at its peak, right? That's the reason why researching before you invest is critical, right? Don't just take people's word for it, right? Don't just listen to a video, watch a couple of things on YouTube and on TV and just invest blindly. All right. That's what a lot of people have been doing with the cryptocurrencies. And you can get lucky, but your luck can very quickly and easily run out. Right. And if you don't know when to invest, where to invest, how to invest, and for how long to invest in certain products, you can lose a lot. Right. So again, right now, Bitcoin is down. You know, actually, I want to say it's down year over year. The prices that it started out as this year compared to where it's at today.
Okay.
But most certainly, it's down from its peak. Right. The high was 120,000, and right now, I want to say it's last I checked, it was about 89,000. So if you bought at the peak, you would have lost all of your money. Right? If you bought it when it was 120,000, you would have lost all your money. You also have to be skeptical of what you're investing in, because everything is not sound money. Everything is not necessarily a sound investment. So Bitcoin, if you believe in Bitcoin, fine, no problem. But you do have to understand that Bitcoin is not the same as a hard asset, right? It's not the same as gold and silver. It's not even the same as a stock in a company, because the companies that we have stocks in generally have some type of value, right? The only value that Bitcoin has right now is the value of imagination. People believe that it's valuable, and so people are investing their money. But there is a term called revaluation, where people look at what they're investing in and say, hey, does this actually have value? And even if it has value, how much value does it actually have? Looking at the AI bubble is what they're calling it right now, the AI bubble. It started out as a wonderful idea, right? AI is going to shoot the world up, shoot the economy up, change the lives of everybody. And so trillions of dollars have been injected into these AI companies, but these companies are currently not producing trillions of dollars in revenue. They're barely producing billions. So if they're getting trillions of dollars and only outputting a few billion, then that's a big discrepancy. And so the shareholders start to call into question, how valuable is this company right now, not 10 years from now? And so we could easily see next year, from the start of next year, the quick fall of a lot of these stocks. However, that being said, we do have to realize that stocks do still have some value, right? So that's the AI stocks. We have stocks like Walmart, Nike, Kroger, they have stocks. They do produce, right? They produce goods. We don't produce nearly as many goods as we used to produce, right? We were an overproducer. We had a net export
Hmm.
decades ago. Now we are a net importer of goods.
Okay.
So just to again reiterate, don't buy at the peak, right? Study any investment before you make the investment,
Yeah.
because you don't want to be in the position of blaming others when you lose whatever you invested in.
I remember when I was thinking about investing, because I was totally new to this in my late 40s when I was first thinking about this. I asked you, what should I invest in? And you told me, as an economist, mom, I'm going to tell you what the things that you said you have to invest in, what you understand, right? That after you've done your
Hmm.
research, and what you can afford. There's what
Hmm.
you want to say about that.
Absolutely. That's the. I agree with whoever said that. Is what I
That
said.
was you.
Oh, okay. Well, I agree.
You told me
So
that.
yes. Um. Yeah. No. Right now, gold is unaffordable to a lot of people.
Hmm.
So you don't want to be discouraged because you cannot afford the price of gold today. You
Okay.
find the things that you can invest in,
Mm.
right? Looking at copper again, as was mentioned. There are things looking at asset stocks, right? Like gold stocks, silver mining companies, right? There are ways to invest. You have to research first. And then you find those things that you can afford. Because again, investing is has risk involved, right? In business, you're always dealing with risk. Business and investment is all about risk and risk management, right? You want to be able to decrease the possibility of risk, and you do that by having adequate information and then doing what you are able to afford, right? Investing in what you're able to afford. But again, there are several types of investment. The
Okay.
first being in, I'm
Go ahead.
sorry.
I was just
The
going to
first,
say, you're getting into solutions now, how to deal with this
Mhm.
collapse. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the first investment has to be investing in yourself,
Mm, okay.
right? If you had, you say you get all of this, accumulate all of this wealth, and say you do well with it, because of first you invest in yourself, your own information, your own knowledge, but you also invest in your children, because if you have all of this is what happened to the African American community 150 years ago,
Mm,
right? When we left the South,
okay.
a
Talk
lot
about
of the children during the Great Migration to the North,
it. Hmm.
the children said, I don't want to live in the South. I don't care about my parents and grandparents' land.
Mm,
Sold the land for pennies, moved to Detroit, to New York, to Philly, to all of these wonderful northern cities and states because there were factory jobs there. Right. So they said, I want money. I don't care about the land. Well, clearly, they didn't understand the value of the land that their parents understood. So
okay.
again, you invest in yourself, your own knowledge and information, but you had better invest in your children and grandchildren's information because they could squander the wealth not understanding what they're doing. And
Mm,
then when it's gone, you can't turn around and say, hey, I want that back. No, it's mine now. You
mm,
can buy it for 10x the price that you sold it to me for, but you can't afford it now.
mm. So what happened when they sold the land and went to the north? And I mean, didn't they make money? They made money. So what was the
They
problem?
made money and they also realized now they have rent to pay. Now you leave a certain area and you go to a more expensive area, right?
Mm,
And this is the reason why prices go up in cities, for example. If there's a rush to the city,
Mm-hmm.
then you're still competing for the same amount of goods in the city, right? So, for example, you move to Detroit, the population was 1 million, it shoots up to 3 million. Well, there weren't 3 million new homes built, right? There were probably the same million homes that you moved to, whether it's apartments and houses or whatever. There's a fixed amount. So if the price of those apartments, for example, were $500, and everybody, the million people in the population were competing for those homes, the moment more people comes, that is a scarcity, right? Because it's a fixed amount of properties. So now the demand for those properties goes up. This is again the reason why I say understanding money and economics is important. We live in it, but we don't understand it. And so we don't understand why rent goes up in certain cities at certain time periods, right? During the COVID situation, why was rent and mortgages going up, the cost of everything going up? Well, because there were a lot of foreign investors as well as corporate investors like BlackRock, right? Buying up everything. And once you buy up half of the houses, now the rest of the population is competing for the other half. And so now there's a scarcity in supply and an abundance in demand, which means that the prices are going to go up. All that to say, invest in self, because you can have everything and be a fool, and a fool with money is still a fool.
Oh, you said you taught me something the other day, and you've been saying this all your life, but you reiterated. You said, "Mom, there's a principle that the wealthy people have, and that is never." It was either you or Doug's. Never sell.
Never sell the land.
Yes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
you said that. And you
Mm-hmm.
said if you invest in land, you have a home, you can build on the land, and you can grow your own food, you can do your own business. That is considered a hard asset.
Absolutely. It's considered the most important asset is land, because from the land comes all of the resources. All right. So you don't get gold and silver and copper and oil without the land, but you also don't get a roof.
Right.
All right. So it's definitely land is the most important asset, because even again, there's a scarcity of land. There is a fixed amount of land. Right. So you would do good to own you a square.
So I'm going to go. I want you to talk even more about solutions, because we talked about different solutions as we see this empire collapse. But before we get into those, is there anything else you want to say about this collapse? For example, is it affecting the world, or is it just affecting us? And anything else you want to say about it?
It's affecting the world for sure, because the world is tied into the dollar and the American economy, the American government. So everybody does. It's a sticky situation. All right. Everybody's got some aspect that this will affect them in, but also other nations are preparing, right? They're strategizing. They're trying to remove the risk of the collapse, because everybody in the world foresees it. The governments do, at least. The people may not understand it. That's fine. The governments understand what's going on and they're preparing themselves. So yes, so now then one of the, again, going back to one of the ways to prepare yourself, travel outside of the country so that you can see what's going on in the rest of the world, right? Be a part of the international community. Don't just limit yourself to the confines of this country, right? There are many people, there is a such thing as expatriation, right? People do leave America and find that life in other countries is good, right? There's also different things and different ways to invest that you may find in other countries that you will never have access to or the knowledge of only being here in America. So I say travel the world, right? Again, invest in yourself, invest in your knowledge, but invest in the experiences, right? Life is all about the experience.
Yeah, and you were saying invest in yourself, like for example, with education. And I remember telling people my children are going to college, and people were saying, "Well, college is too unaffordable. How will you do that? You have lots of children." But we, as a community and as a family, just instilled within you all, you're going to succeed and you're going to get scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
And we made sure
Mm-hmm.
that happened. Academic scholarships.
Yeah.
We poured into our children the knowledge and information that we had, and we had that expectation that you're going to college. Not that college is for everybody, or you're going to get a trade or something, but you're going to do that, and you are going to get scholarships based on the intelligence and academic acumen that you have,
Yes. Scholarships and grants.
and
Right.
grants.
Money is out there for education, right? If you choose to go the institutional route of education.
Mm.
And a lot of times people, as you mentioned, feel like they have to go into debt in order to get the education. But there are different ways. You may not have had the GPA required to get certain scholarships and grants, but write a letter, right? Find what grants are there. Google different types of grants and scholarships that are available for you. Find out what you can get a scholarship for, whether it's being a woman, being an African American, being a minority, going into business, going into health, whatever industry you go into, there are different scholarships and grants specific to those categories of education. So you want to get that money, find the money and get the money and educate yourself.
It's there.
Yeah,
It's there.
exactly. But also, again, be strategic.
Okay.
All right. We have far too many communications degrees, majors, and we have to understand once you get that degree, what are your options job wise? Right. Those jobs are not paying a certain amount. Also, you have to consider, will these businesses and jobs be here in the future? Right? Can I make money in it? Right? Art is great, but not necessarily for a degree. Right? So what again, looking at other communities, the Asians don't allow for their children to study fine arts most times. They make sure that they study the degrees that are important to them, to their community, to the future of the world, so that they can be the global leaders of the world. So
disciplines like what? Like what type of disciplines?
Technology, engineering, medicine, business, right? The STEM, mathematics, right? There are important industries that we have as a nation and as a globe have agreed to are going to be important going into the future.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Somebody said you can get a student visa and go to college abroad for free or at a very low cost, and they can be paid out of pocket from part-time work.
Exactly. That's the reason why I said that we have an entire world out here. You don't have to, if you can't afford life here in America, you might want to consider countries that are more affordable. There are countries that have free healthcare, free education.
Yeah.
Take advantage of that. Go there, come back with a degree.
And how do you feel about trade jobs? Because we're talking about investing. We're talking about now solutions to how to deal with the economic collapse. He said invest, and the first investment is in yourself. You can invest in education, whether it be go into college or you self-educate. And somebody asked, what about trade jobs?
Trades are very important, right?
Okay.
These are things that don't often go away, right? You're going to need these trades, right? Like construction and plumbing and electrician. All of these things are trades, right? architecture. All of these things are going to be needed in the future just as much as they are needed today. Mechanics, right? Even beauticians, right? Hairstylists, music is a trade, right? They are important. They do generate money.
You
And
said
it's,
earlier, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
You said earlier that your dad, God bless rest his soul, because he's transitioned, taught you all of his kids music, and you were making an income, a nice income, starting from the age what 8 or 10ish, 10ish,
10, 10
10.
years old.
Mm.
I've been making money every week since I was 10 years old because my father taught us a trade. And he told us as children, he said, you first of all, you're gonna learn. I like to say he was kind of like Joe Jackson. Um, but in a good way. He
Yeah,
made sure we learned our instruments.
yeah. What do you?
But
Go ahead.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. No.
I would say, but he told us uh, as a musician, musicians are always needed in times of economic prosperity and in times of recessions. He said, during the Great Depression, guess what? People wanted to listen to music in order to feel better about their problems. So it was a good trade, and it has proven to be. He has proven to be correct because to this day, I make money in music, and it's been 25 years,
You
and I
make
don't foresee it stopping. Go ahead.
and it's not going to stop, because you can pray for a church, you do weddings, funerals, graduations, you play music for Ambassador Shabazz. She
Hmm.
would bring world renowned entertainers to our city, and you would be there with Molly Music and who else, some of the other
Uh,
people, the Clark.
Dandy Glover, as in terms of the notoriety, people with notoriety, she brought Danny Glover. We worked again with Muhammad Ali. Music wise, she created a choir. I was a musician for the choir. So we sang for different events and worked with the mayor and dignitary in Louisville.
Yeah. There was something. So, how to prepare? Because I've heard that during depressions and recessions, you can actually become wealthy. And it's interesting because when I was telling you about that, you said, "Mom, I want you to consider that before the depression, there was the Roaring Twenties." I was like, "What?"
Hmm.
And then you said, so people were, thinking everything was going to be okay. Then there was a collapse. And the only ones that really did okay were the ones that either they prepared, or the ones that, a lot of times people that are in extreme poverty, they still live that reality. But can you talk about how before the Great Depression, there was the Roaring Twenties, and then lead into how we can prepare for this collapse and the depression?
Well, as you said, the 20s, everybody was excited. They felt like there was no tomorrow, right? That there was an abundance of money. That was when people were just being introduced to stocks, right? So everybody was investing in stocks and getting a good return out of it. So the times of prosperity were high and abundant,
Mhm.
right? But again, nobody was predicting that things could go awry. And so when it did, everybody, that was not prepared ended up suffering.
Mm.
So we're looking pretty similar to those times, right? Where people, well, I would say people are already feeling, the problems today.
Okay.
But how do you prepare? There's obviously, again, different ways to prepare. First, educating yourself. Second, having a community that you
Mm.
can depend on and that can depend on you, right? Because we can't predict what is going to happen necessarily,
Mhm.
but we can say whatever happens, you have to be prepared for whatever it looks like. And so you want to have multiple strategies, multiple plans. If plan A doesn't work out and plan B doesn't work out, you might want plan C and D just in the event of, right? Investing in resources, hard assets,
Okay.
because they gain value, right? They have a stored value and they gain value, especially in times of hyperinflation, for example. Right, and in times of the collapse, these resources will have value. Right, so invest in these resources so that when these times come, if they should happen to come, you have some wealth already set aside. Also, invest in food now, right? Buy food that have a long shelf life,
Okay.
right? Be strategic in the foods that you buy, right? Rice and beans go a long way, for example. Right? A lot of other countries survive on rice and beans, right? We we have to learn some humility as Americans,
Mm.
right? We ain't gonna get the steak, you know what I'm saying? Shrimp, all of the good foods those become more expensive during times of crises.
Mm.
And so you want to have canned foods, canned vegetables, right? You want to have sugar and salt, right? You want to stock up in these. You want to have plenty of water. All right, again, these are things that our grandparents and great grandparents did naturally. They were prepared. Somewhere down the road, it was not taught to the children and grandchildren, or we missed it. But we got to relearn, right? Learn, unlearn, relearn.
They had
Things that,
batteries, flashlights, blankets.
yep, yep, yep. The things that we learned and did in the past, we got to turn that off. It's not going to work for the future. Some of the things that we were doing in the past will not work for the future. We have to relearn what will work. Like you said, buying the things that flashlights, blankets, learning how to grow food, right? You oftentimes during a collapse and during a crisis, there's a food shortage. You don't during the 1929 crash, there were food shortages. There were food lines.
Wow.
You don't want to have to be the 99th person in that line waiting for a bowl of whatever they feed. So have food stored now, right? Have an abundance of food stored now, because we remember during the pandemic, there was a run towards everything. Stock up on your toilet paper. Stock up on. Don't buy one toothpaste bottle when you go to the store. You know, don't buy just a few rolls of toilet paper now today, because when everybody is rushing to get something, that's when it's way too late.
That's true.
Yeah.
So invest in yourself, in your education, or get a trade. Hone your skills and your gifts. Travel if you can. Buy food. Buy non-perishable items. Stock up on water. Grow your food. If you want to buy food, get those non-perishable items like canned goods, rice and beans. These are things that you can do to prepare. Also, you mentioned earlier today that the Mexican community, they move all into one house. They know that sense of community. They're not too prideful to do that. And they will spend their money to buy that house, and then one person to move out. And then what do they do from there? Go on and just keep buying houses?
Yes. Collectively.
As a unit.
Yes.
Yes.
And so that is another thing, right? Networking.
Okay, networking.
And using your community that you build and establish, using your family as a network so that everybody involved can benefit. Right? We have to, again, we have to look at things collectively. Anything in life is going to be that much harder when you have to do it yourself. versus when you have a team that can support you. Right. And then understand that you may be the financier. The next person may be the brains. The next person might be the foot, the feet. Different people have different things that they can contribute. Don't be upset necessarily if you have to do one thing that another person can't do, because it's in fact more beneficial, right? In barter and trade, for example. If I have silk and you have silk, what are we trading? If I have coffee beans and you have sugar, we can both trade a little bit and we can drink some coffee.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So bring what you have, what your skill is to the table, right? Network, find other people who are like-minded, right? You don't want to have to fight with people, to build, right? You want people who are like-minded. So find those people now, because when things get really bad, it's going to be harder to find these people, or it could potentially be harder, we'll say. So do things now, because should it happen, it's going to come faster than most people expect. All right. Potentially. It could, but the problem is we've already been going through the slow grind of the collapse. So at a certain point, the collapse speeds up. It escalates.
Yeah.
And then things start happening suddenly.
And
right?
the unprepared, they will think they'll be like, where did this come from?
Exactly.
How'd this happen?
We could have prices like Zimbabwe. Right. So be prepared. And that again, these things, this is not the first time a economy collapsed, a government collapsed, a government went bankrupt, defaulted on their loans. All of these things have happened before. Study history of the times that we may be headed towards, so that you can know how to prepare.
Yeah. You also mentioned, when you talk about hard assets, investing in land, investing in silver, copper, and gold. And I hear people say, but I can't afford land. I can't afford silver. I can't afford gold. To which you would say,
find things. If you can't afford it, everybody's not going to make it to heaven. Sorry to say. I mean, that's what the believers believe. Either you're going to prepare or you're not. Either you're going to do it or you're going to have excuses as to why you cannot do it. But again, successful people get results. Unsuccessful people make excuses. So either you want to be successful or not. But if life hits you and you fail to produce, that is not anybody else's problem.
It's not even life's problem. Like the animals in the wild that are not strong, they perish.
Yeah, or get eaten by the next one. Yeah.
The ones that didn't get the resources before winter came along, they perish.
They perish.
Successful people don't just say, I can't. They ask themselves, how can I?
Absolutely. And they find ways to do it. And if you can't or cannot or don't know how, again, find those who know it and who have it and who are willing to help. There are people out there that are willing to help, but now you have to be willing to accept the help too. We have a lot of people who have to be a lot more humble and a lot more honest with themselves about where they are in life.
Absolutely, because you even talked about how you can buy land or a house if we humble ourselves, for those who are okay with humbling themselves. And we know that we can't survive alone. You can team up with your family members. You can team up with like-minded people in the community. to buy land. There are places you can go in America to buy cheap land, but a lot of us don't want to live in those places.
Mm-hmm.
We can
Right.
live together as a family or a community, but a lot of us don't want to do that.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, that's the thing. You got to change your perspective.
Mhm.
Right. You have to broaden your perspective, I'll say. Look outside of whatever box that you have been in your whole life and explore other options, because there's always another option. Right? There's always a solution. Every problem has a solution, and
Mm,
successful people find solutions to their problems.
mm,
That's what business is about, is providing solutions. Right? Services are solutions. Products are solutions.
mm,
We have to be solution based people.
mhm,
Not again, America is spoiled. Unfortunately, the reality is we as Americans are spoiled. We've
mm,
been handed out things for so long that we think that the government is supposed to give us welfare.
mhm.
That would be why they call it entitlement programs. We feel as Americans that we are entitled to everything and should have to do little, if not anything at all, to receive those benefits.
Mm.
That's not how life works. That's how life works in an empire, when the empire is doing well, not when it's contracting.
Oh, okay. Somebody said
This is the
Dr.
reason
Claude.
why.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So who was
No,
that
this is the
said?
reason why. Mhm.
Go ahead, son. I'm sorry, Mr. Lattimore.
This is the reason why they're talking about cutting benefits,
Okay.
right? Food stamps and Section 8 and potentially Social Security. They've been talking about this behind the scenes for at least the last 2 decades,
Mm,
but now they're making it known to the public because we cannot service our debts. Other countries are providing for America to live the lifestyle that we have. We're going to have to accept new realities. We're going to have to cut back. What were you going to say?
I was going to say somebody, you have a couple people in here that are being disrespectful. Thank you so much. Janine is in the chat. Thank you, Janine. I'm going to have to send you an email every time I go live because she's our moderator. She said, please be respectful while in the chat. Thank you. Because some people are, kind of being a little snide, smart Alex, saying this isn't new information, bro. Claude Anderson already said this, but it's true. Claude Anderson did talk about group economics, and Dexter Lattimore is an economist. So they're saying the
There's
same thing.
nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun. Like, what new information are we expecting in life? Like, it's not about and then what's new to you may not be new. What's new to somebody else.
Mhm.
My job is to share the information that I have in hopes that those who receive it find it beneficial. And if not, it's okay.
Yeah. Group economics is very important. And when you look at other communities, like you look at the Jewish community, you look at the Asian community, you look at the Mexican community, many other communities are able to survive because in their community, their dollar circulates a whole lot, many more times than ours as Americans, or even Black Americans or whatever Americans. Their dollar goes through their whole community many, many times, and then it leaves the community. So they would buy gas in their community, food in their community, hair products for their community, all of that before it leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true? Yeah.
And that as a group, as a collective group, we have to be working on those things. We have to be working together, right? Because either we do it or we suffer the consequences of not getting these things done.
Mm.
And the time is of the essence. As a people, we don't own much of anything, and we should probably spend less time finding the things that we disagree on
Mm.
and work on things that we can agree on and help each other.
Yes. Yes, we need to invest in each other, invest in ourselves, And speaking of hard assets, you were talking about land and what else you were talking about? Food. Another thing you mentioned, and I said that silver, copper, and gold. I want to say that if you cannot afford, or it's not in your budget, I don't want to say what you can't afford, to buy 1 ounce of gold at $4,300, you can consider jewelry. Somebody mentioned that in the comment section. You can get jewelry inexpensively from the pawn shop, from state sales. I'm sure other places, from family. If you store up jewelry that has sterling silver in it, sterling silver is 92% silver, 0.999 silver. Sterling silver is. You can get constitutional silver, also known as junk silver. Those are coins that were minted before 1964. That junk silver, they call it junk silver because they didn't want you to know it was really valuable silver, has 90% silver, 0.99 silver. Okay, you can get gold backs, also known as gold aurum notes, AURUM. Gold aurum notes or gold backs are $6 a note. I've been teaching this on my channel for years. So there are many ways you can get silver and gold. You can get lower denominations. You don't have to get a whole ounce, troy ounce. You can get half ounces, quarter ounces. You can do whatever you put your mind to do. Instead of saying, I can't, this is too much, it's not going to work, whatever, just ask yourself, how can I? You're going to say
And
something?
then, yeah, the last thing I'll say is everybody in history, everybody did not own gold and silver. And the average person was still just fine.
True.
Right. So we don't want to be overly anxious about what is to come, because people always have found ways to survive in life. Right. There's always going to be a job to do. And if there's no jobs, we're just going to have to figure something out. People are figuring out how to live without a home today.
Yeah.
And some people are accepting that as their new reality. But that's an option. But if you don't want to have that as an option, you might want to consider, preparing and working with others to where that doesn't become your reality. But again, whether things are going well in the economy, in the society, or things are being drastically changed, life is going to happen. And either we're prepared for it or we're not, but it's going to come. Life, the good and the bad comes in life. And it's not always going to be good. Life is not always going to be how we want it or expect it to be. So the only thing that you can do in life is to, at best, prepare. Whatever preparations look like, it's going to be different for every person, every family. But you have to find what it looks like for you.
Yeah, and you had mentioned also when you and I were talking offline that another foreseeable option for investment is foreign currencies. Can you speak a little bit about that and why that could be a good investment?
Well, right now, today, the US dollar still does have dominance over most of the currencies of the world. So the US dollar can be used strategically to accumulate foreign currencies. Now, the foreign countries right now, as has been previously mentioned, they're buying a lot of gold. A lot of these countries have gold in their grounds and oil and different minerals. So when the revaluation occurs, the reset occurs, where currencies are revalued to see how much value they truly have, those countries that you invest in, those currencies will gain value, right? So investing now is a good investment because, again, in the future, these countries have the potential, at least, to gain value by the accumulation of hard assets that their countries and governments are doing, accumulating.
So the gold that they are accumulating now will support their currencies.
Yes. We're going back to the gold standard.
Okay.
Right, the gold standard obviously has been the standard forever, for as long as we have recorded history, basically.
Mm, mm,
So entered a we entered a brief time period where currencies were not backed by gold, but we're again going right back to that time period. So
mm,
with China and being the leader of the accumulation of gold, all of the countries are following that.
mm,
BRICS, all of these countries are following the same path of backing their currencies with gold and other resources.
mm. Very well said. And as a matter of fact, for those of you that are interested in buying gold, you can go to your local coin company. I take my grandchildren there all the time. Your local coin company is a good place to go because you can develop relationships with them. You can talk about the coins. You can ask them questions about the coins. You can exchange the dollar for coins. And then if you need to get cash, or even if you want the new currency that we're going to have, they call it rainbow currencies, you'll be able to trade back in your silver and gold for those currencies. So establish a relationship with your local coin company. You can Google coin shop near me or numismatics near me. That's a good place to go. If you want, something, I'm going to tell you it's going to be a little more expensive because they don't just have a spot price, but they have a premium on top of the. Oops, sorry about that. The cost of doing business. I went out for a minute. So sometimes they'll be a little higher than if you were to work with an online dealer. My affiliate is Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company. You can contact Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company at 952-929-7006 for silver and gold, or you can email them at info@milesfranklin.com and mention that Dr. Kia Pruitt referred you, so you can get the best prices in the industry, because online dealers like Miles Franklin, that's been around for almost 4 decades, can get lower prices, and you will get a better price using my name as Dr. Kia Pruitt. If you want foreign currencies, family, put in the chat which currencies people should be considering. But you can always study the countries that you're interested in and look at what type of things should they be looking at if they want to know if this is a good country to invest in. Do you know?
Look at what resources they have as a country,
Okay.
I would say.
Okay.
And then look at what they're doing look at their productivity level as a country. Look
Mm,
at what they're exporting. You have to study their economy so that you know what's going on, so that you make a sound investment.
mm, okay. All right. This has been a very informative session. I'm so grateful that you took the time out of your very busy schedule as an entrepreneur and economist. Thank you for being here. Before we close, though, I want to know, what are your final words, Mr. Lattimore?
My final words is for everybody to be encouraged, right? For everybody to work together, right? Because things will get better, right? Things We're going through a tough period, but I do believe and I do know that things will get better. It's
Mm,
going to take some time to get there, so we might want to buckle up, hold hands, you know, do a little praying, kumbaya, right? Share resources. I saw
mm,
somebody mention bartering. That is very important, especially in these types of times. We're going to need to learn to barter and again work together and keep a positive attitude, because no matter what happens, we're all going to be good.
mm.
So those are
Absolutely.
my words.
I really appreciate that. Someone said earlier that Lattimore hairline is crazy, bro. They said it's common with all Lattimores.
It's a thing. It's a Lattimore thing. We can't shake it. We just accept it.
Anything you want to say about your musical, talents? Anything about music you want to mention? Because that is something that you're very passionate about. Before we close.
Oh, not necessarily. I'll say that I play the piano and the guitar. Right? I've played essentially my whole life. It's exciting to be a musician, right?
Mm,
To be able to influence people positively, for people to because music has a very important influence in people's lives,
mm,
right? Music can control people even, right? We have to be careful about the music that we let into our ears,
Mm,
right? Because music is a frequency, right? Everything is frequencies, right? So light, music, sound, these are frequencies. And if we allow certain frequencies into our bodies and are not careful, we can end up projecting those same frequencies without knowing, right? So
mm,
be cautious of the types of music that you listen to, right?
okay.
But enjoy life, right? Find ways to enjoy
Mhm.
life. And the way I do that, one of the ways I do that is through my music.
Mm. Thank you so much, Dexter Lattimore. Now, I mentioned that you may write a book. I know you're a creative writer, but if you were to pen a book about economics or the economic situation right now, what would that book look like? What would you discuss?
I Yeah, I'm still debating on what that's going to look like.
Okay.
Um, I will have to get with you later on to discuss that because I'm still working out the semantics on that aspect.
Okay. Chief Mac is in the house. He wants to. Chief Mac, I sent you a link so you can come on and say hello to Dexter. He says, "Great live, Dexter and Kia." Do you have about 5 minutes, Dexter?
Yes.
Okay, come on, Chief Mac. I sent you a link. The Soul family always wants to hear from the chief of the Soul tribe. So come on in and give us, some thoughts about the topic, about investing and or about how we are to prepare for this collapse. And for those of you who are interested in investing in or supporting Mr. Lattimore's work, you could kindly send him a donation to $ DexLattimore. That is Cash App. Let me see if I can put that on the screen. Cash App $DexLattimore. Because he is going to be writing a book, he's going to be coming on the show as a resident economist, giving us the economic forecast, giving us the geopolitical news and information, current events, and how we can prepare because we don't want to just talk about what's happening. We want to talk about how we can live, I would say survive and thrive through whatever is going on in the world. A lot of people say, I don't want to focus on politics. I don't want to talk about it. I want to look at it. But politics actually shapes economies. Is that right?
Absolutely. And politics affects your life whether you realize or accept it or not.
Mm, mm, absolutely. Somebody say give thanks. Chief Mac, if you're going to come in, you come on in. We got about 5 more minutes left. Give God thanks in all things. Our trials only come to make us strong. Chief Mac says musical sounds are the highest frequencies and vibrations. He's also a musician.
Awesome.
Um, Answers to 1984 is 1776. That's their handle. Says, I want a copy of that book, autographed by the author.
We'll make that happen.
Sister Janine, who is so good to the Soul family, she is the moderator of our chat. And she's been doing this for years now, says that she does it through roller skating and swimming. Okay, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. She also said we'll be good regardless of what happens. Thank you, our doctor. Thanks to our doctor, our beautiful Dr. Pruitt. Thank you. That was so kind. Uh, thank you, Chief Max says great live. Chief, if you're able to come on, let us know. If you're not, just send me a quick message. Let's see. You're benefiting from what we're both saying. Thank you. Thank you. Now, some people are asking questions about um, us being indigenous. So they're saying, are you saying that all Americans and all people are going to be blessed or just indigenous people? I don't know why we keep getting that question like we're not one soul family, but go ahead.
Well, you said, or ask the question again so I can answer.
Are all Americans going to benefit from the transference of wealth or just indigenous people?
Okay, I'll first say it is speculation because we do not know for certain what is going to happen. But if
Okay.
I'm going to speculate, I will say that the indigenous people on this in this country still exist.
Yeah.
All right. They didn't kill everybody off. Right? They fabricated some information. But according to George Washington, the copper colored people are the indigenous people in this country, which we are. So now there are I would hope to have, certain benefits restored to the original people of this country, right? And then also there are people who are not from this land who they have their wealth, as you have mentioned, stored in their nations.
Mhm.
All right. But do I think that everybody is going to leave this country who is not indigenous to this country? No.
No.
All right. Uh, but certain wealth will be given to the proper heirs of that wealth.
Mm.
And so we're right now there's a lot of commotion going on
Yeah.
in the world and in America.
Mhm.
But the people in power know who the rightful heirs to this land is.
Mm.
So that's just, what I would say is
Yeah.
I can't predict how it's going to happen, what it's going to look like, but the government after slavery said that they owed us at least 40 acres and a mule, you
Mhm.
know. So we're the first in line, I'll say. Right? The Bible talks about the last being first, and then what was it? Cat Williams said we've been last for a really long time. So
Right.
at some point, we should be first in line to receive our endowments
Mhm.
and our inheritance.
Mhm. Yeah, the Empress Verdiasi or Vertice Gaston L. Turner Bay also took a suit against the United States Incorporated and said that, the indigenous people are still here and that they need to be compensated for the land being stolen. And so she won her claim and the original people will receive benefits. At the same time, or around the same time, you had the farmers to take the United States Incorporated and the Federal Reserve Central Banking System to the World Court and said that the people, a whole American continent of people were mistreated because the farmers, who are the backbone of this nation and feed the people, no matter what skin complexion they are, were the ones who were doing they were doing the hard work to raise the cattle, create crops and grow the crops. And the Federal Reserve Central Banking System would make them take out loans with these high interest rates and then say, you have to do what we say or we'll take your land away. And you got to play by our rules and you got to pay these high interest rates. So when the farmers took them to court, the United States Central Banking System and the United States Incorporated to court, the World Court decided that the farmers were mistreated, that they were forced to sow Monsanto seeds, they were forced to do things with sick cattle, they were forced to do things to make us sick, or either they would be unalived, or they had their land confiscated, or they will have higher interest rates put on their land, on their loans. So the World Court said, you know what, you farmers are going to be repaid, compensated for this, because they did do you wrong. The central banks of the Federal
The
Reserve.
question is, who's going to enforce that?
That's a good point. I don't know.
That's exactly my point.
Okay.
Is that it all sounds good, but good luck holding the banks and the government accountable.
Mm.
And the United Nations, maybe 10 years ago, recognized the black peoples of the world to have been done wrong. Was it Ghana called 2019? What was it? The year of return.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows, like the other governments of the world have spoken out against America on their treatment for the indigenous people of this country, but who can hold the American government accountable?
Mm.
And so this is the reason why the collapse may very well be necessary.
Okay. Mm. Thank you. Who is this? Rafa says, I can't help but thank you for such a wonderful session today. Easy to understand, comprehensible, strategies. Thank you, Dr. Kia and my brother, Dex Lattimore. You're welcome.
Absolutely.
So the world courts found it that the United States central banking system mistreated the farmers and people all over the world, here in America and all over the world, by forcing them to take out loans when we all have a trust that was created in
Mhm.
our name at birth. They and interest rates, and you know, forcing people to pay interest is against the Constitution. So they said the farmers will be paid off first when the United States Incorporated collapses, and then people here in America via Nasara and people all over the globe via Jassara. Who's supposed to enforce that is actually the white hats of the military and the Nasara white knights. So the white hats of the military are military people from all over the world that are helping to arrest these nefarious people that are in power. And if you go to info, what is it? Info at is it resignation.info? It'll show you a list of a lot of people, bankers, prime ministers, who else? CEOs of corporations that were either forced to resign, they were arrested, they were forced to take out early retirements, all type of things, up to as many as 14,000 resignations and 10,000 organizations in 171 countries at the last time of this publication. That's resignation.info. So
Mhm.
what we heard is behind the scenes, the military is working to take down, the so-called deep state.
And I will agree with you, but I will also add those in power are not just giving up power.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
Power is taken, not given.
Ooh. Okay.
So that's the reason why it's the white hats, as you mentioned, in the military, and it has to be a military that can actually fight against these military complexes of the world. Like America has a military. So you do what I say, or I sick my military on you, and I sick my dogs. I.e. the CIA and FBI, the CIA for international, but the FBI for internal. They have their own militia,
Right. That's
and
true.
they're not going. It don't matter what the world government, the world order, none of that doesn't
World
matter.
courts, it doesn't
All of
matter.
that, they've been defying world courts since they created world courts.
Dang.
America creates the rules for other people to follow, but nobody can hold America accountable for the same rules that America has created. This is the reason why we are
Mm,
in these issues, these problems that we are facing today. And these conflicts have been going on behind the scenes and in front of us nonstop. But people don't understand what's going on. People don't know why we've had so many world
mm,
wars, World War I, World War II, the Cold War. All of these things have to do with what we've been discussing today. But this is the reason why understanding in history and economics is
mm.
important, because some things that they say in history you won't understand unless you're following the money behind the scenes.
Right. And this is why you say we need to prepare ourselves. We can't expect the government to save us. And you're
No.
a man, you had a church, you believe in higher power, but you have always said this is about Christ consciousness, not expecting a Christ to come and save you. This is a Christ conscious. Your mind has to be right, and you have to work from within to save yourself. When
Save
it comes,
yourself from this untoward generation.
where'd you
The
what's the
Bible, save yourself. The Bible says to save yourself from this untoward generation.
mm, okay.
So we can look to God or the higher power or whatever you consider to be the higher power, and that's great. But
Mm.
God does not help those who don't help themselves.
Ooh, okay. Thank
Just to
you.
say,
And how
we
does
had better it again. If you don't want to prepare, then accept whatever consequences happen, and
mm,
expecting the government, expecting President Trump, expecting anybody, the Democrats, the Republicans, anybody to save you is a bit foolish.
what about the white hats of the military and the Nassau White Knights and the Galactic Federation and all the beings that's
Good
supposed
luck. Not saying that it won't happen, but you don't know when.
that's
It's
true.
not something that you want to hold your breath on. It's not something that you better don't wait on Jasara to pay your rent. You
He's
see what
been
I'm
telling me
saying?
this for a long time. Yes, yes, yes.
That's all I'm saying. Let's be practical.
Okay.
Wishing for things is great. Hoping and expecting things to be great in the future, wonderful. But let's be practical. Let's be realistic based on what has already happened in the recent past,
Hmm.
not something that we expect that we haven't seen before.
I appreciate
Because,
you saying that. Go ahead.
yeah, well, I mean, it's great to want something, but if you've never seen it, you can't expect it.
Mm.
Everybody in the world, I'm sure, if you ask them, do you want utopia? I'll say the vast majority of them will say it. What does it look like?
Mm.
And how are we going to reach that? So if we can't have utopia, can we at least be practical on some things that we can agree on and disagree? We shouldn't, we some things we can do, some things we can work on. Other things is just a bit unrealistic. And we need to lower our expectations especially for the government. I don't
People
know
get
what.
mad. People get mad at you when you say lower your expectations.
Well, I mean, you can want something, but if you expecting to, don't expect too much, because if it don't happen, you looking like the fool.
That's right. All right. I just want to briefly bring on Chief Mac, Chief of the Soul Tribe. Welcome. I hope you've been listening. This is my son, Dexter Lattimore, economist, speaker, entrepreneur, businessman, musician. The list goes on and on. He was mentored by Ambassador Atala Shabazz, who's Malcolm X's oldest daughter. And he's traveled the world. He's worked with many chiefs, many presidents, mayors, etc. I see Chief, we lost Chief Mac. And he's worked with just a lot of world leaders, actually, in terms of trying to figure out certain solutions as we are witnessing a global collapse because everything was tied to the United States Incorporated. Welcome, Chief Mac.
Welcome, Dex. How you doing, that man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic, man. Absolutely
Great.
fantastic. It's a beautiful time to be alive when you are connected to the right people and sources. Isn't that right?
That's right.
And
That's right.
what a phenomenal live, a mama and son duo, dynamic duo.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Giving your information is just a beautiful thing. With the family, you guys are making a preparation for what's getting ready to happen to the world. I was listening in, and I was just taking mental notes. I saw that we had somebody in the comments saying that this is my information. Let me tell you something, guys. No information is nobody's information. We're all given a certain amount of information. We break it down with our own way of giving it. So we shouldn't act proud. Like the information I have, Rod Hayes, Dr. Kier, you Dex, I will say this much right here, guys, that the indigenous and indigenous people are emerging and leading the way in righteousness and with information from all of us. So we should be proud. We should be happy and proud that all of us, we are those dry bones that have been separated, that are coming back together. We are those very sleeping giants that are awakening from the slumber that we're in, and not for just equality for our people, but for all people.
All people.
And so there's a spiritual force that is happening, because without that spiritual force that's manifesting itself into the present, this world would not listen. There are a lot of us that are participating in something that we wasn't even supposed to know anything about, guys. Now, would everybody flourish in the golden era? No. Why is that? Because many people have recontracted with this beast system. Just like hundreds of years ago, when the first transfer of wealth happened, there were people who participated in it to the point that their great-great-grandchildren today are trust fund babies. And I talked to a few trust fund babies a few days ago that ran up on me.
Yeah.
Okay, he says, Dad, and these people are quiet. They operate behind the scene because they don't want 3D people getting access to 5D people. So right now, there's a new type of 5D people, and I would like to say that the three of us are 5D, and many
Yeah.
of us on here are 5D. You have a couple of imposters who are acting like 5D that are 3D, because if you're 5D, you're not worried about whose information is being stolen. You use my information. You don't need to be too asked about information. You know that the most important thing for you to do is to get this wealth. Focus on self. Get rid of the envy, the malice, jealousy, and head out your damn heart so that your heart can be light as a feather. Then you can go directly to the ancestors in the Great Spirit, and you can expect the manifestation of your words to come into fruition like I have and you guys have. You don't have time to be to have jealous and malice in your heart like that. Right now is the most important time in history, in the hundreds of years. It's getting ready to happen before this year is out. And everybody should be focused and get some. Listen, $200 or $300 can change your life, and that's what any and everybody should be focused on. Not somebody talking about your information, not somebody else what the next man and woman is doing. Not being jealous, because a jealous heart is an inferior heart. There's nothing inferior about us. We all have righteous and good in us, but you got to take those shells of hurt, pain, betrayal, and become the victor over being the victim. We all have been sent down to a lower realm, just things that happen to us, and we're all being watched to see which ones of us are strong enough to pull ourselves out the ditches. Because all of us have failed and got marks on our knees, but are you going to stay down? Get your ass back up. Dust off. Stay focused. Become the victor over being the victim, and find the masterpiece in you. And if you can't do that, this is why the rich and the wealthy don't want to be around a lot of different people, because people can be treacherous, and you guys know that. You see a lot of hurt and pain in these comments when somebody come on somebody else's platform and saying, that's my information, that's hurt and pain right there that you hadn't got over. That's that little boy, little girl in you that have been tampered with and messed with, and you have hate in your heart, and you can't let it go because you like misery. And misery loves company, because misery is lonely. Misery is lonely. That's why it wants company. So look and seek and devour and see who they can gaslight, see who they can cause chaos in their life, so they can bring you down from that high vibrational frequency that you're sitting at, because they can't get there and they don't like to see nobody else there.
Wow.
See what I'm saying? So y'all stay powerful. When the righteous, when 2 or 3 come together, that's the Trinity.
Are gathered in his name, then will I be in the midst. That's what the scripture says.
So the president of the Great Spirit is amongst the three of us, because we speak righteousness, we speak holiness, we speak encouragement. We don't claim to know it all. Never said that. But a lot of people have been delivered, guys. A lot of people are finding hope.
Yes.
A lot of people are getting up and walking and saying, I thought I couldn't get through. But because of the words you spoke, Chief, the words you spoke, Dr. Kid, the words you spoke, Dex, whether it's in music that you and I do, which is the highest vibration, or through words of encouragement, yes, you can make it. Yes, you can get back up. Yes, you can be victorious over being the victim. You're not that little boy. You're not that little girl that's been hurt by the people that were supposed to protect you the most.
Yes,
they were hurt. They were hurt. So free them up and forgive them and become the victor over being the victim, and find the masterpiece in you, because you are just that important, just that powerful, that the enemy through them tried to destroy you, and you're still standing today. That's how powerful you are, guys. And many of us have that story in here. Guys, you are powerful. Just to have the mindset that we have when most of the world are rocked to sleep. To believe all of the psyops and being socially engineered to think a certain way and thinking they have their own thinking process. And we know that we are our gods. We have the ability to be that Christ. And that Christ in us has resurrected us from 3 to the 5D. to know what moves to make today that are going to set our great grandchildren. And I say, glory, hallelujah to that. Because no weapon formed against the righteous shall not prosper, but go back to the sender. That snare that you tried to set for me, you, or whoever, is going to come back to you to a point, and you're going to know that I fucked with the wrong person. Yes, I cuss a little bit, but I'm a righteous man. Hey, if you guys can, go to my post. I did something magnificent yesterday. I saved the person's life yesterday for being.
I saw that.
Yeah, and I'm going to do a live, and I'm going to break it down to people. And this is just something that I go out here, and I truly am a superhero out in these streets.
Yes, sir.
I truly am. And I don't put myself into anything that I know I can't handle.
Yes, so somebody, this whole group of boys had teamed up.
These one boys, these were grown men.
And they had masks on. They were beating up this transgender person.
Well, it looked like a hermaphrodite to me, but I felt sorry for that. I saved his life.
To get off of him. And I saw him standing around like, just waiting, but you stood 10 toes down. Get away from here. Leave him alone.
So let me tell you something. You got a lot of people on these platforms that act tough on these platforms. They are gangsters with typing. They're real tough to come over here and they can run their mouth on social media. Social media has given people, it's like a can of spinach to people. They can hide behind and act like they real tough. And I've never seen a country tough boy, But they get on these platforms, they act real tough and like they say all kind of mean and evil and lies on people. But the real soldiers, we don't talk crap on here. We out these streets, man, standing 10 toes down like a real man. And I'm one of those dudes right there.
Yes, sir.
That's the type of work that is important, right? It's great to do the work online and these things, but we need active people in the streets, not just talking, but holding each other accountable.
We do.
We got too much. Go ahead.
I like that you said that because we should get to the point when we see people clowning and acting like chimpanzees, baboons, and monkeys on these platforms. We as a collective unit, we need to shut that shit down. When you got people lying on people, coming on these posts saying things crazy and stupid, a sound, emotional, intelligent mind don't spew venom on here. Because the venom that you speak on people on here come back to hunt you later on if you think you're going to get any amount of wealth, you clown. So you have to so we need people, we need real men so that the women can't be women because the men ain't men. The men ain't men. You out here want to get your nails done to be cute and act like women. We need men to stand 10 toes down like I did yesterday. And I had people saying, well, be careful. I'm careful. I got the great spirit. My steps are divinely God, and I was in that place to save that young man, to save that person. Because had I not been there, you see that the person was.
Yeah, guy was.
I don't mean to cut you off, but in life you get tested by the Creator, by the universe, God, whatever you want to call it. God gives you tests. And if you don't pass the test, what makes you think you are deserving of these things that we're talking about? In life, you have to deserve things you have to earn it. We're talking about wealth and it's wonderful, but everybody is not going to be wealthy because everybody does not deserve wealth. And if you are not a righteous person, you should not expect certain things in life. Because there is a such thing as karma. And it does come around. Go ahead.
So, Dex, you're talking like you know something.
I might know a little bit. Got a little education. That's all.
Just a little bit. But listen, you're right about that. Everybody don't deserve wealth. You have to be qualified.
Turn up a little bit, Chief. I can't hear you. Turn it up.
Hold for my second.
Okay. If you all are interested, somebody said when Dexter Lattimore was talking earlier today, something snapped, something clicked, and they were like, oh, we can now understand we can have our own bank by having, our own money, foreign currencies, silver, gold, palladium, platinum, copper, whatever, land. then it clicked for them. I'm so excited that they said that as you were talking, they had an enlightenment moment. A light bulb went off like, I can be the wealth for my family, for my
Mhm.
posterity. That was
Mhm.
beautiful as Brother Dexter was talking. And if you want to do that, this is the opportune time to do it. And then once you get the wealth, you protect the wealth by putting your assets in trust. So if you're desiring a trust to protect your assets, you can reach out to Chief Mack. He's not the only person that does it. He's just our representative. You can reach out to him at unityinmotion45@yahoo.com. Go ahead, Chief. Y'all talking about real men and how we need real men.
Yeah, let me say this, then I'm gonna jump back on talk about real men. Let me tell you something. There are some people. There are people out there who do trust right,
Uh-huh.
but I'm gonna tell you why people that have gotten the trust from me are winning. It's
Okay.
because a lot of times when you get a trust done for people, they don't want to be bothered with you afterwards. They don't want to be bothered with you
They
because
know.
they know that people can be treacherous. One thing about me, when I do your trust, I'm enlightening you on how to operate in trust.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working with you from start to finish. I'm also getting you a foreign EIN number to go along with the trust that most people don't do.
Mm.
Um, I make sure that from start to finish, to the point up until you can get your trust open at a bank. So I'm with you telling you what type of trust it is, and an irrevocable trust, what type of bank account it is, and non-bearing interest checking account you want to get. And I'm there with people. So these are things that people get with me. I talk to you. I don't just leave you. I'm walking with you from point A to point B. I ask you to look through your trust when I send it to you. Make sure the words are spelled correctly. Make sure everything is correct in there when I send it to you. So I'm giving you that. That's the service and the extra amenities that you get when you get. And there are a plethora of people out there who are happy with me. I've got foreign currency for people. I've given gifts and I got mail
Oh,
right now.
mm-hmm.
I've gotten foreign currency from people. I got people right now that said, I'm your soldier. I ride for you for life, Chief Mac. I have people that didn't have anything. And I said, well, let me, brother, take about this amount from the trust you're supposed to give me. Take that to get you some foreign currency.
That's beautiful.
Hey, sister, you don't have this. Well, let me send you an extra 150 or 200 to go with that trust. I've gotten gifts for people. Plenty of it right now. I'm gonna be passing out the mail. Like you get a car, you get a car, because I want us to win. And if you desire to win, and your heart is right, and you don't have it, guess what? The Creator will put you around the right people who will pull you in before the door shuts. Now, the real men. We don't talk a whole bunch when we are here because we real men know that they can be dangerous. This is why we don't like to fight. We don't like to we stay calm because a cat like me, I'm built to put pain on your ass. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm 254, 6 feet. I got hands like a lunchbox, and I use this for righteousness. I have snatched two dudes out their shoes for running their mouth in an unrighteous way.
Yeah.
I have done it and still do. At 54 years old, I can still give you a 30-year-old ass kicking. And I thank the Great Spirit because we need men out here. I saw about 8 years ago there was this grown man bothering these teenage girls. He had a stick in his hand, and he was across the street, and these two young sisters was walking. I'm riding downtown Atlanta, and I'm seeing this guy had a stick in his hand, taunting these girls across the street. What do Chief Mac do? I slammed on brakes in the middle of the street, jumped out my truck with the door left wide open, and chased his ass down like a fullback who was on him like a fucking lion, and looked at that demon in his face and scared the shit out of his ass. Then I picked those young girls up, said, get in the car with me, and let me take you to where you need to be. That's a damn real man, and I don't deserve nobody to be putting their mouth on me like that, because let me tell you something, you wouldn't do it because you ain't man enough to do it. You'll get on here and run your damn mouth and get in your damn feelings about somebody taking your information or you this and that, but you ain't got the heart to do what a real godly man does, and that's what Chief Mac is. We need those type of real men that don't talk about it, but out in these streets. You guys have had a glimpse. Go to my YouTube page and see what I did. That's just a glimpse. That ain't nothing new. That ain't nothing new that I do. That's what I do. That's what I do. I'm from the mean streets of Gary, Indiana, and I'm battle-proof.
That was the murder capital of the world at one point.
Murder capital. I seen a lot of killing, and happening in the 80s, early 80s. And my mom and dad did whatever they could do to protect all of their crumb snatchers. And all of my brothers, sisters, my mom and dad children are still alive today.
All the children, yeah.
No
If you want to,
felonies. Yes.
this is Chief Mac's YouTube page. If you guys want to see it, he's Chief Mac. His handle is Chief Mac 9574. He did was it a live? Yeah, it was a live, but it was a short that he did.
No, it was a short, yeah.
While driving from the gym, I witnessed a person being attacked. I think this is it. Yeah, I saw it last night. He also has the #1 banking story in his community of how someone actually took the trust that he created for her to the banks, and the banks legitimized the trust, said it was authentic, and that the EIN was like a spirit to the trust to give it life. And that foreign EIN helped them to operate outside the jurisdiction of the government, the United States government. It was a powerful testimony. But Chief, speaking of being a real man, I witnessed Dexter starting a church in his 20s, and he started an international church of people from all over the world. It started in our living room, and it grew so big because he was talking about Christ consciousness, how you have to be conscious of your money, your wealth, your diet, your life, your words that you speak, your family, how you have to be a family man, a real man that takes care of his family. I've seen him give homeless people money on the streets. People don't understand him. That's the heart that he has for people. I've seen him put people up in hotels so they don't have to be in the street because they're homeless. I've seen him. This is my son. I've seen him, feed people. Things you do too, Chief. I've seen him stand up to people that are assaulting women and children. I've seen him do so many things. And, people say there are not good men around, but when they see the men like you to working in righteousness, I don't know that everybody knows how to receive those type of men, because men are also very authoritative, right? They're protective fighters. They're authoritative. They don't take no crap. They don't say things unless they mean it. And if you get in their face, you're going to catch these hands. And they also carry. Everybody doesn't know how to deal with the power of a man.
Well, I consider myself a doer, not much a talker. Okay. Right. So this is the reason why, as long as you've been on your show or had your show, this is my first time speaking, because I've been busy behind the scenes doing things. And this is the reason why, again, the information that I share is not my own information, right? No one is the owner of information, right? But I do a lot of things around the world, right? If whatever information that I give doesn't help a person, that doesn't faze me, because I know what I'm doing in life and in the world. I know what impact I have, right? People who don't understand or appreciate my impact, doesn't bother me, because they don't phase my life. They don't affect my life. Okay. Right. So for me, I accept all criticism. Nobody is remiss of criticism. Right. But then again, let's be realistic. Let's be practical. Let's not be time wasters.
Okay.
Right. We spend so much time fighting and bickering and arguing and complaining instead of being solution oriented. What does it resolve to say, this information is not mine? Nothing. You see what I'm saying? We have been spending these last several hours being solution oriented.
Yes.
And these are the things that we have to focus on.
Okay.
We, as a people, we often find the things that we disagree on, and then focus on those things in the churches, in the religions. This is not just a our people thing. This is a problem that we have in humanity, at least in the recent history. Instead of focusing on 95% of things in life we agree on.
Yes.
But we find the 5% and go to war with each other over 5% of things that we disagree on, instead of saying, hey, I know that you are not a robot. I'm not a robot. We're not going to agree on everything. That's impossible.
Yes.
Let's find the things that we can work on and work on those things And then we may or may not find things, later on that say, okay, I don't agree with you on this. No problem. You stay over there, I stay over here, and we good. But if we can work together, this is how people become successful. Wealthy people are able to build wealth. Do you realize a lot of wealthy people don't actually work with people that they like? They're not working with people that they like. They're working with people who are effective. Most wealthy people are not nice, we'll say.
True.
Yeah, there you go. But they know they are effective because all the time that you spend trying to be nice to a person, people don't usually appreciate kindness. And people often take advantage of kindness and often take people's kindness for weakness.
And you
So
taught me
people,
that. Stop being nice, just be professional.
yeah, exactly.
I said the
People-
same thing, Dex, to your mom as well. That I told her as a woman, as a godly matriarch. Dr. Kier is one of the women of all women. She's a matriarch. She's leading the way. She's raised productive children. She was married to a man that even though things were all the way kosher, she protected him all the way to his transition. She's an honorable woman, and she does not deserve to be disrespected by anybody. And men that disrespect women like that, you need to be seen about.
Oh,
You do
and,
not
and she already knows she ain't got to worry about it. People with Twitter fingers is one thing. I ain't got time for having to
I
argue
hear
with
you, Dex.
everybody on Twitter. But do understand she got too many sons for anybody to play around with her. That's a fact.
And
So
you
we
need to
ain't
take
worried
that
about
shit.
this right here.
Yeah, you need to take that serious. So don't put your mouth on this woman right here because
Thank
she got
you.
more. She got
Thank
more than those sons. She got me, and she had a whole army of people around her that's going to shield God and help God and protect her. So
Thank
watch
you.
your mouth. Put some respect on her damn name. When you say something,
Facts.
you got to
Big
be a
fact.
clown. You got to be a
Because there's
clown.
people that they know, and then there's people that they don't know that you'll never know. And we're connected. So I would advise those who would seek to harm, don't what is it? Touch not my anointed and do my prophets no harm. Because now we'll talk about the physical and then we can talk about the spiritual. There are things that people are unaware of that you just might want to be careful with who you cross the line with. And I'll just leave it at that.
That's true.
Yes, sir. And I will too. Enough. It don't have to be said, but we know how to war in the spirit. And then you can send something toward me, and I've sent it right back to people. And today, there's some people that have sent something my way, and it's been sent back to them. And now that person right now ain't doing too well.
Not physically well at all. And it was sad because we watched this person badmouth you, talk about you, say some harsh things. Then their whole group of people started talking about me, and I just left it alone. But Chief said, return to sender. And I kid you not, he said, it's not going to look good for them, Kia. The next day, we got a report that somebody literally is like on their way out of here, like just got a sickness out of nowhere. And we don't wish that upon anybody. Like we
don't wish it on nobody.
Just praying like, God have mercy. But once you put yourself out there to be used by the enemy, you're going to get whatever comes with that.
Exactly. That's why I said earlier, decisions and consequences. Be careful what you decide to do, because whether you realize it or not, the consequences can come in many different forms. You think you do bad one way, you expected it to happen the same way. It don't often happen that way. It comes in many different forms, and it comes when it wants to. In God's time, it comes. So that's the reason why I'm at peace with myself, because I make righteous decisions in life. I make an attempt to be intentional about the things that I do, understanding there are consequences, known and unknown. So again, I'm fine, but other people have to be aware.
That's
It's good to be careful. Go ahead.
The thing is, guys, is that, and you guys both live your life the same way. And this is why I realize you can't really deal when you're a 5D and you're a righteous person. You can't deal with a lot of different people, because I know, as well as you guys, that we understand that everything that we're doing is a journal being written down on it, guys. If we've been recorded,
Yeah.
It's a journal been written down on every move you make. And those moves you make in life, you can either build kingdom points or
Mm.
you can add to your karma and debt. The choice is yours. So when I go out here and I'm feeding the homeless, I'm speaking life into them. I'm saving people that doing things that normally people would have tunnel vision keep going. That, that's being recorded.
Mm.
It's been jotted down. That's a journal. We're all being looked at and watched through that glass storm, and we're performing. And so I know that I'm performing the best of my ability for the celestial family that's watching every move we make. And so I live my life to make them happy, to pass the test, not make people on earth happy. Because too many people on earth, you got more people that's under a spell that's not under the spell here. We got more people that's 3D than 5D. Because everybody cannot wake up at the same time. So to answer that question, will everybody succeed in the Nasara? No.
Mm.
Because you got people recontracted with the beast.
Mm.
You got recontracted. So, and if they got any form of that money, all they're doing is giving you bits and pieces of your estate, and if you got bad habits, it don't matter what kind of money you have, that's not going to flourish. A fool and his money will surely depart.
Mm.
You can't
Exactly.
all of a sudden think you're gonna get some money and then switch over. If Negro or Niglet, if you hadn't made those spiritual transitions from 3D to 5D now, what you think you're gonna happen when you get it? See, I've made I did this shadow work to know when this wealth comes, I'm already prepared to hit the ground running and knowing what I am going to do, not for myself. When you can look past yourself and start looking at what you're going to do for others, then that's when you straighten your shit up. That's when you stop running your damn mouth and act like a damn clown because you realize that you are so important because you got people that's going to need you the way in such a way they don't even know they're going to need you. So you guard yourself. You protect yourself.
And that's when God blesses you. When you bless others, when you help others, that's when you get your cup running over
Come on
in
now.
blessings. A lot of
Come on now.
people, a closed hand can never receive anything.
Mm.
Don't hide your wealth. Don't bury your wealth because other people are you are burying your wealth while other people are hungry. Then why do you expect the universe to reach out and bless you with anything?
Mm.
It's coming. We are come to a time to where we have to help each other. The universe has put it into the position. We thought we could get along so long with being individualistic, thinking that as long as I'm taken care of, I'm good. I don't need
Mm.
nobody else. And now everybody is individually suffering. And it is
Whoa.
now at the point where if you don't have somebody to lean on in times of need, then
Right.
it's going to be ugly. And that's just universe. That's karma.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, I remember you
Right.
saying years ago, Dexter, you were saying it's gonna come a time, and people were like, no, 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 not for me. You say it's gonna come a time that a lot of you single women are gonna have to get a husband. It's gonna come a time when a lot of you men and women that left each other, you're gonna have to move back in with your baby
I
mother,
told
baby
you that.
work it out. It's gonna be a lot of time. You said a time is coming when all these divorced folks who think they are in power are gonna have to come together in the house and figure out their lives, because the economic situation that I see about to happen is going to be bad. And everybody was saying, oh no, everything is good. America's on top of the world. Everything's
It's
flying. We got money. You remember that? You were
Isn't that
Yeah,
young.
most
amazing? Isn't that amazing? Because kid, you and I were talking about that. When we said that families are going to have to consolidate, and all these strong, independent women now they're in these big old houses, and then they hear a crack, and they nervous and scared, and that plastic doll that you have ain't doing the job anymore. You know,
mm-hmm.
you're in that big old house all by yourself, and then you got that good jam. You're a strong, independent woman that's scared. Okay,
Yeah.
and Trump is getting rid of food stamps, they're getting rid of child support, all this stuff that the beast has created to come against. Now all that stuff is gone, and now it said in your book that 7 women would cleave to one man.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that means? 'Cause it's not so much about the sex; it's about, listen, can I take on your name? Can I have you to cover me and to shield me? Because women are so special. You need a man to cover and shield you because we are your umbrellas. That's why the Great Spirit made us with big or more robust than you are, because you are so important, because you got to push out the gods and goddesses. This beast has been so wicked that it turned women into career women to the point you choose a career over a miracle of being able to birth a god and goddesses back on the earth. You think that
And then
child was
often
successful?
regret it. Most of the women who forego childbirth and pursue careers in their 20s, they are living it up. In their 30s, they're thinking about it. By their 40s, they're in regret because they missed the opportunity to have the children that they could have otherwise had. And this is the
Yeah.
problem. Following your enemy is not a good idea. There was a time where we considered even the American government at least to not be our friends. Now it's daddy. Now it's Uncle Sam is as long as Uncle Sam can take care of me, I'm good. I don't need a man. I don't need my man. I don't need no black man, nothing. But then you realize that the joke's on you because the system wasn't created to take care of you indefinitely. It was to get you in a trap.
It was a setup from the get-go.
Exactly. And you fell for it. But now our community is in shambles because the men have been systematically extracted from the household. In order to receive this benefits, you can't be married. You can't have a boyfriend. You can't have a man involved at all.
In the house. Okay, don't get him out. Can't have him there. Get him out. Get him out the way, and we'll take care of you. Get him out the way, and that was the infrastructure of protection. That was how the community, they broke all of that right there. Now it's been torn down so that we can, in order to build a new regime of righteousness, you got to tear down the old. And what Trump is doing, he's been used to tear down. And we've been living in this beast for so long that we see it as a norm that when it's been torn down. That reminded me, what's the lady name when she was, is that Goliath? When they were leaving that city. And what was, and she turned around. Yeah, that's right. When she turned around, that meant that even though if she was going with them, right? But her heart was still stuck back there. So the Great Spirit wouldn't allow her to bring that 3D mindset and heart over into 5D in abundance and inheritance, because she would have caused a problem. And this is what's happening right now. We got women right now that look at the beasts that are being torn down, and they still have it in their heart, not understanding that it's for their own good. If you bring these kind of people, whether men and women, over to you in 5D, they're going to cause problems. I am going to do a live with a sister because right now she's been married for about 41 years.
Okay.
I did her trust for her. And she showed it to her husband, and he goes off. Well, did the attorney do it? Did this XYZ? He don't believe in the foreign currency. She's exercising, she's working out, he's eating bad food, high blood pressure, diabetes, all of that. And they've been married for 41 years. She and I talked a few days ago, and she said, Chief, she said, it burns my heart. She said, I'm gonna have to cut him loose. I said, wow, we've been together 41 years, Chief. And I tried to talk to him about the foreign currency. He don't believe it. I tried to tell him to eat healthy. He don't want to do it. I tried to XYZ. He don't want to do it. Chief, he's sinking me. I'm going to have to let him go. And this is what's happening. Is that you got people, like, since 2020, a shift happened in the world. That's when a major war was been waged on the people with the word mandate, and mandate means war. Because nobody should...
Let me tell you something from a woman's perspective too. I do understand what she's saying, where she might have to cut them off. They don't get along. I don't know their situation. From a woman's perspective, if somebody sees somebody like you come along, you're strong, educated, powerful, impactful man that they can lean on, they will tell you all their business and all their problems, and think they're gonna leave their husband with a chance of
that's
being
not gonna happen.
Like you. I know it's not, but I'll tell you how women
honey,
with a chance.
Wives, stay with your husband.
Stay with your husband. Y'all be better off staying. Ain't nothing out here in these streets. I'm
It
trying
ain't
to
easy out here.
get it.
hey,
Hey,
I'm
go
not
ahead.
trying. I'm not trying to be Captain Save.
Right.
No, Missy.
But it's
It's
Mm-mm.
not.
not
And,
happening.
Go
I
ahead,
but
get
Dexter.
it. I've been there, done that.
I also want to point out the importance of a man and a father in terms of the children in society.
Okay.
The suicide rate in America, 80% of the suicide rate is children who come from fatherless homes.
Mm.
70 to 80% of the incarceration rate comes from children and adults who grew up in fatherless homes. The all we have the homeless population, about 70 to 80% of the homeless population, fatherless homes.
Mm.
The father and the man is extremely important in society.
It
In
is.
our
It is.
community, the man has been taken out of the society. Every other community, the man is very much active.
Come on now. Exactly.
And this is the reason why the other societies are successful.
Come on now.
We cannot depend on the women to create the wealth for the community. It's absurd.
Mm.
Because sure, women are great, but women in our community are competing with men in other communities, thinking that they can get ahead because they were pushed ahead of the men in our communities by the government,
Mm.
thinking that they can actually be able to compete with the other men of the world. The Chinese man don't care that you're a woman. They are not giving you concessions and making an evil playing field because you're a woman. The European man does not do that. The Arab man does. Nobody does that.
Mm.
But we, the black man, are expected to just give away our power and authority to our women, and then, but the consequences are being ignored.
Mm.
So that's what you're saying is that the so-called black women is the only race of women that outperforms the men in the workforce. It was purposely done like that. They make more
Intentional.
money.
Yep.
Intentional. Because they
Yep.
knew that if they do that right there, they can turn her into the kryptonite into the man.
And
Because she
to her
would buy
community.
and then when you do that, it tears down the community. Because see,
Mhm.
what a woman would do with some sons and what a man won't do. See, a woman, she would pacify them boys.
Mhm.
See, a man would say, no, I'm gonna get you out this backyard. You're gonna put these gloves on, and we're gonna
Mhm.
do it out. I'm gonna teach you to have a healthy level of fear. So you wanna get out here and run your damn mouth and get a bullet in your head. Like my
Mhm.
dad, when I started getting big and strong, my mom used to whip me. I turned like 14, 15. I started getting muscles on me and cuts, and I was like, oh man, I'm look at my arms, look at my chest. My mom couldn't handle me, right? She
Mm.
Mhm.
called Charles. Charles, my dad had the hands big as mine. And boy, I feared my dad, and that was healthy because
Exactly.
I'm still here today because my dad would
Mhm.
snatch me out my socks.
Mm.
Mhm.
He didn't play. My dad would snatch me out. I had a healthy level of fear for my dad, but at the same
Mhm.
time, my dad said, boy, don't you know I love you?
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly.
He would say,
Exactly.
boy, don't you know I love you? But I
Mhm.
thank God because I could have been dead because I'm from the mean streets of Gary, Indiana. I done seen friends I grew up get shot and murdered. All kind of crazy things happening in the mean streets of Gary, Indiana. And my mom and dad said, I am not losing my children. And my
Mhm.
dad put a level of healthy of fear in the hearts of his sons to the point that all of my dad's sons, all 8 of us, are still alive today
Mm.
It's a beautiful thing.
because he put
And
a healthy level of fear in us right
exactly.
there. And
Fear is important
a healthy
because
level of fear.
well, yeah, sure, absolutely. But without fear, there is no respect.
Mm.
You don't respect those who you don't have at least a certain level of fear.
And
That's why
when you
even
say,
God said, the
and,
Bible said, to fear
yeah,
God
yeah, fear and respect goes hand in hand.
hand in hand. Because if you have no respect, then if you have no fear, you have no respect, and then you start crossing the line.
And I think that's
Yeah.
something we women don't understand. You know, women want we want everybody to get along. Let's have peace. Let's be quiet. Let's be good. Oh, let me coddle you. Let me. Oh, you know, we don't understand that you need fear
Yeah,
or
every
direct
man,
and
every
discipline.
man every man in life, we know to have a certain level of fear and respect for the next man in front of us. Because
Yeah.
if we don't respect that man, anything can happen.
Mm.
Women don't have to worry about those things because women generally, even in times of war, women and children are spared. Men are the ones who die and fight in war. And men are the ones, if you cross the line as a man, it don't have to. We can start a war right now, me and you. That's a man's reality. So then men have to at least have some level of respect for the next man because we have this common basic understanding.
Mm.
When you have made it over half a century like I have and don't look like it, I've learned a lot. I'm battle-proof. And so when you get older like that, you learn to not that have your skin got to be thick. You don't take everything personal. You realize that the words that come out of your mouth can either add life or take life from you, man. You learn to guard your mouth and what comes out your mouth towards someone else. You're slow to speak and quick to listen when you're angry. Because when you're angry, when you allow yourself to run your power hole when you're angry, 90% of the time you're going to do and say the wrong thing. And this is why when I get angry, when I get real angry, I get quiet and I get still. Because I know that I have enough, the thing about me, I know rage. I've seen rage. I'm going to write a book on it. I know rage and I have to calm myself down. So I started working out because I had an older brother that used to beat up on me and used to sling me across walls. And that's a side of me that you guys don't know. The way I worked out, I don't look like what I've been through. So I know rage. So when people are trying to do things and you deal with a cat like me that have the ability to jump over frustration into rage and take everything out that they've been through in their life on you, you can't compete with that. So I have to calm down because I know that I will iron your ass out like a suit jacket because I can skip frustration to rage on you and blame you for everything. And you don't want to deal with a person like that. And you don't want to deal with a person like that. So I'm careful about when I get angry, I get quiet. Like my dad, I get quiet because I know that what I can do to a man. I know what I can do. So I get quiet. And so I want to use that, harness that anger into something positive. That's what I'm coming out and I get message to people becoming victorious over being the victim, encouraging people, but at the same time, being that warrior in these streets. When I hit these streets, I'm a warrior out these streets. I'm a true king and emperor out these streets. That if the great spirits let me know that, like what I saw yesterday, I had to intervene. Most people you see people in the comments, well, be careful.
I saw that. You need to get a fix. Be careful. You gotta protect yourself.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that if I knew that the words coming from my mouth wouldn't have settled those men down. And then the last guy that was standing right there, I said, you better get on somewhere, man. He had a mask on his face. I'm prepared.
Very much.
I got still on me that make you be still. And if I put these hands, it's over. Then I got divine intervention. And let me tell you something. What happened was I spared the person's life, and those men went on, and the guy claiming that this person stole their cigarettes. I said, man, here's $10. Get you a pack of cigarettes, man. I just grabbed some money to know how much they gave it to him. I said, man, live another day, man. I want to say,
a lot of the wickedness going on in the world, a lot of the evil is going on in the world is because the righteous are not standing up and asserting themselves and speaking on account of those who are weak and less fortunate.
Yeah. And Brother Dexter, what people end up doing, they end up putting their lack of abilities on you. They look at themselves and then say that, well, you shouldn't be doing that because I can't do that. But stop doing that. That's what people do. How are you able to be happy? How are you able to be prosperous like this? And I know that I can't. Well, I'm going to try to tear you down. I'm allowing you to do everything I can say, even with lies, to try to pull you down because I'm trying to find out how are you smiling and I can't smile? How are you successful and I work the job and I have to work? How are you doing these things? So that's what we do. We put our lack of abilities off onto other people and say, well, I did what I did yesterday because I knew that I was going to be effective because I had been effective in the past. And the best prediction of a person's future behavior is what you've been doing in the past. So that's what it is. I'm gonna do it
Absolutely.
live, and I'm gonna expound on it more and more. Dr. Kidd,
Yes,
brother
sir.
Dex, yeah, man. It was been a great having me on. My phone is about to go off right now. I'm about to get out here and hit these streets, man, to be a champion. I'm about to be productive like I'm doing. I'm about
Awesome.
to. We got our wealth
Mhm.
coming. We got a miracle coming soon, guys. Soon we'll be able to walk through the banks, brothers and sisters, and walk out of there a new man and a new woman. In other words, we are going to be resurrected and born again. And trust.
And if
We are
you want
being.
to trust from Chief
Yeah.
Mac, then you can contact him at unityinmotion45@yahoo.com. He'll help you with your private trust. He'll give you some consultation on other things. So send him an email, UNITYINMOTION45@yahoo.com, and he'll get back with you expeditiously. Thank you, Chief Mac. I really, really appreciate you. I
Y'all
love you.
take
You can
care.
find him
Boss
Love
on
you to
man.
life.
Take
Okay.
care. Before Dexter leaves, Dexter, I want to show you this pyramid, and we can get out of here because we are talking about economics. This is the
Mhm.
median household income. Can you see that here?
Yes.
You Indian Americans, 100,500.
Mhm.
Filipino Americans average or median income, 83,000. Taiwanese 82.5, Sri Lankan American 74.6, Japanese American 72.3, Malaysian American 70, Chinese American 69,000. This is median income.
Mhm.
Pakistanis bring in 66, white Americans 59.9. Those are the Caucasian Americans. Korean
Mhm.
Americans 59.2, and Indonesian Americans 57.5 income. Average income. The average American income, 56.2. For all the women that say my man has to make six figures in order for me to be married to him, that's not being realistic. The average American makes $56,200. Thai Americans
Before taxes.
before taxes. Thai Americans 55, Bangladesh 50, Nepali Americans 43, Hispanic Latino Americans 43. African Americans on average make $35,000
Dead
household
last.
income. Go ahead.
Dead last. And
Dead
we
last.
we the we the biggest, most arguing this group, and we arguing at the bottom. And the irony is that a lot of these groups that you just named came way after us, if not all of them. And the excuse of slavery and oppression and racism, at some point, we got to call it excuses and just accept that we ain't doing our part.
That part. Sorry. And you hear a lot of us at the bottom arguing, I don't need a man. I'm strong. I'm independent. I can just have my college degree, my government job.
And then again, a lot of people and a lot of women in this particular instance are not forward thinking in terms of most women don't want to work 10 years from now.
No, we don't. No, we
Most
don't.
women don't have any plan of working for a 20-year period.
No.
But in the beginning, it sounds good.
Mm.
I don't need a man. I can be independent. The schools told me that there's this wonderful world out here that's going to give me this great job. And then after 5 years, 10 years, it's too late at a certain point. And then you're set in your ways, and now you can't be agreeable with a man.
Help us, God. I remember when I graduated from college, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get this super job. I'm gonna be a life coach to the wealthy. I'm gonna move to California. I'm gonna do all this great work." Blah blah blah. I was a substitute school teacher. Work whenever they called me and said,
They don't tell people when they graduate what kind of jobs are actually available.
right.
That being the same jobs that you've been looking around at your whole life: McDonald's, Starbucks, schools, nursing. There's not a infinite amount of jobs, and that's the problem. The universities often give this grandiose picture of this false reality, like you can be anything that you want to be. You can have it all. but in reality, most jobs don't pay more than $50,000.
So you have to create a business and then even most businesses fail within the first 3 to 5 years.
Most businesses don't turn a profit before they fail. Most businesses lose money. This is why I said earlier, you better study, you better research investing, because in business and investing is all about risk taking. You're taking a risk of losing everything. So you want to minimize your risk, but just because you start a business don't mean that you ain't gonna fail at that. That's why I said too, find things that you know. Don't go out here thinking you're gonna start. A lot of people jumped into the real estate business thinking they were gonna be landlords, found out that they don't know what they're doing, and now they underwater on their debts, on their mortgages.
And then we had that collapse. We had a lot of people that was making money. I knew a lot of people in Atlanta, but they were doing a lot of faulty loans too. That's what they didn't tell people. Right? And then we had that, what was it called? The economic collapse in 2000, was it 2006, 2007?
The housing market crash. Yeah. You have to do your due diligence. Because in business,
go ahead. A lot of serial entrepreneurs, they say that because it sounds good. I'm a serial entrepreneur. They're not telling you that they keep starting businesses because they keep failing or they going underwater. Not all of them, but I'm a serial entrepreneur. I got lots of business. Well, it takes a lot to live. Go ahead.
Yeah. And it's okay. Mark Cuban said that he started several different businesses, right? And all of them failed. And he found one business. So it only takes you striking gold once. Right.
Okay.
But you do have to try things. You have to fail in order to succeed. There is going to be some failures, but the failure is not in making a mistake or an error. The true failure is when you accept defeat and don't continue on. So you're not a failure. Yeah, you're not a failure just because things didn't work the way that you expected it.
Okay.
You're learning to succeed. You're getting that trial and error out the way. But you gotta get some cuts and bruises if you want to succeed in life in general.
There's a book out called Fail Forward or Fall Forward. It talks about how you fail, but you keep moving forward. You learn from your experiences in order to be successful. So we've had a very, very good discussion this morning, led to the afternoon, Dexter. I really appreciate you. The people appreciate you. We have about 800 people in the chat right now. People have stayed with you. When we get off, we'll see the true numbers because this is just one platform. How can the people find your work? Are you on YouTube right now?
I'm on YouTube. I have to do some revamping of my page. I got to really actually start to put up videos. But I'm on all platforms as DexLattimore. Okay. And I have to again become more active on all of the platforms. So that's why I again appreciate you for giving me the opportunity, and I'm gonna use this opportunity to hit the ground running on all of these platforms. So yes, again, you can find me on all of the platforms, DexLattimore, DexLattimore, and you will be getting plenty more information from me very soon.
And hopefully a book coming very soon. We're going to talk about that later on behind the scenes. So if you are interested in supporting Brother Dexter's work and you enjoyed this conversation on economics, politics, geopolitics, family matters, trust matters, wealth accumulation, asset protection, all of that, then you can kindly send a donation to his Cash App, $DexLattimore, $DexLattimore. He is an economist with an emphasis and specialization in international business. He has been mentored and continues to be mentored by Ambassador Atala Shabazz, who is the oldest daughter of Malcolm X. He is a worldwide traveler. He has worked with many chiefs, kings, queens, queen mothers, mayors, etc., all across the globe. He has traveled to 3 different continents, and he continues in his studies as an economist. He also is very, very adept at volunteerism and a consummate musician. He's, my God, one day we're going to bring him on to play music. He's a Lattimore. The Lattimores are entertainers, worldwide entertainers. He's entertained with Molly Music. Who else? Some of the people, he named some of the people earlier.
Dorinda Clark, Peebo, quite a few people.
Ronnie Diamond Hort, who played with the Ohio Players. That's his uncle. That's our uncle. So this man has a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of experiences, and a wealth of talents. And I'm just honored to have been his mom, or to be his mom. I am grateful that he chose me as the gateway to come into this world. I am so grateful that the Most High blessed me and gifted me with Dexter Elijah Darrell Derrick Lattimore, a beautiful man, a good, honorable, upstanding, righteous man who believes in being a man of integrity, an upstanding man. So that's about it, Brother Dexter. Any final words you want to say before we get out of here?
That's about it for me. I just want to encourage everybody. Things, no matter what things look like, things are good, right? Because we believe in a God who keeps everything in order. Even in chaos, chaos comes to restore order. So we have to keep our hopes up, right? Stay encouraged, stay vigilant, practice discipline, practice financial discipline, budget, plan, strategize, prepare, and make sure you work with your family. Families are important. We have to get out of that mindset of whoever told us that we don't need our families. Families are of the utmost importance, especially in times like these.
And what's your acronym? I used to always tell you, I believe in discipline, structure, and something else. And you said, I've added to your saying, Mom, to your motto. What is it?
DOS.
DOS, okay.
Discipline, order, structure, strategy.
And we'll end with that. As a man of God, do you want to do a prayer or anything, or we can just end?
I'll pray.
Okay.
Let us pray.
Let us pray.
Creator, we thank you for all that you have done for us in life. We thank you for the abundance of life and love and happiness. We thank you for peace that you are bestowing upon the world. We ask you to bless all of us, bless our neighbors as much as you can bless us. We ask that you give us the way, show us the way, lead the way, and give us the strength to find the path that we need to be walking on. We ask all of these things in your name. We say amen and ashe.
And ashe. Thank you, Brother Dexter Lattimore. I was going to say, I know you will go on and have a wonderful day. Family, you have heard from Dexter Lattimore, economist and strategist, and you've heard from his mother, Dr. Kia Pruitt. I trust that we've said something to raise your vibrations and encourage you to create the most amazing, magnificent life that you desire and deserve. Family, as Chief Mack always says, what a great time it is to be alive when you're connected to the right people and source. I love you, family. Go out and make this a great day. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your questions, for your comments, and for the chat and all the things that you said to each other in the chat. We love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Talk to you soon, Dex.
All right.
We're going to go out with this outro.
Dr. Kia Pruitt, shining wisdom's light, teaching soul tribe how to see through the night. Ancient scriptures and bloodlines she knows, spreading truth wherever she goes. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. that hold us close, teaching paths to abundance and wealth, guiding others to free themselves. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. From currencies to investments divine, she's helping her tribe to realign with wisdom, ancient and new, showing what we all can do. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia lights the way to a new and brighter day.
Bye bye, Soul Tribe. I love you all so much. You're amazing. Go out and make this a great day. We really appreciate your love, your support, your financial blessings. Come back on tomorrow, and we're going to have an important guest to talk about how to educate your children at home and create stars. How to deal with our star seed children that have come to help raise the vibrations. I love you, family. Thank you so much. Bye.
Spreading truth wherever she goes. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. Through her chant